Alongside Alex and T1 on BK, you got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, yesterday, Chaim Bloom, he's doing his media tour. Eventually, he's going to land here on BK and Ferrario. I promise you, it's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen.
It's going to happen.
So yesterday, he went on with the Gas House Gang. He did a Tuesday opportunity there. And he was asked about, hey, Chaim, let's be real here. How long is this rebuild going to take? Here's what he had to say.
I do think we need to be prepared in terms of our strategy and how we think about the moves that we make and what we're aiming for. I think we need to be prepared to be in this mode for multiple years. But again, I think if we stay really focused on it, we will get there quicker and just not worry too much about trying to hit an arbitrary timetable and just worry about doing the right thing day after day. So, that's how I think about it. As far as labor issues in the CBA, you can't really let it infect your thought process too much because, obviously we all stay optimistic about it, but none of us really knows what's going to change because negotiations are complicated. I think it just speaks to, especially in our case with where we are building, of just making sure we have a lot of flexibility so that whatever opportunities we see in the next agreement, we'll be in position to try to take advantage of.
I'm going to try to take this the optimistic route, Alex, because he just said effectively. Now, I should clarify here. He did say at the very front end of his answer, I don't want to put a timetable on it. I don't want to put a label on it because these things are beyond your control, this different stuff, right? So it's a caveat there. It's probably necessary. Wanted to add that in there. But if I'm going to go the optimistic path here, Alex, on a multi-year retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, rebuild.
Stop calling it a retool.
My spin on it would be this.
Spin rate.
That smile made me think, I don't know how much you really believe
Yeah, he doesn't believe it.
I think there may be an opening in the National League here within the next couple of years. As I'm watching this postseason, we might be watching the end of this version of the Phillies. It's about to become Bryce Harper and the boys out in Philadelphia.
Terrible nickname.
There's not a whole lot else there.
They're the Phillies.
I don't know if Schwarber's going to be there. I don't know if we're ever going to see Zach Wheeler be the same guy again. Like, this kind of injury typically ends careers. Aaron Nola doesn't look like the dude that he was a couple of years ago anymore. This may be the beginning of the end of this dominant version of the Phillies. They may be good again, maybe not as dominant as they have been. The Dodgers, their superstars are starting to age out. They're not there all the way just yet, but a couple of years from now, maybe they are. We're seeing the aging curve start to hit them. The Padres never really hit the ceiling that we expected them to. For whatever reason, they just never actually hit this year. The Brewers, we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to forever be lower on them than what I should be probably.
Just don't get it, man.
And then the Cubs, we'll see. I don't think that they're going to bring back Kyle Tucker, so I'm skeptical. So there appears to be an opening that may be coming for the National League. And at that same point in time, we're going to be hitting whatever the next version of the CBA is. Maybe that requires a lockout. Maybe we get to play the whole season. Who knows? But at that point in time, the Cardinals will be done with the Nolan Arenado contract. They'll be out from underneath this Sonny Gray contract as well. They should have ultimate flexibility to be able to maneuver within whatever the new parameters are within that version of the CBA. So if you're in Chaim Bloom's shoes, that's the opportunity for you to go and hit the ground running. And starting in 2027, all right, let's do this. Let's start to push. How'd you hear what Chaim Bloom had to say, though? That's my spin on it. What did you hear?
I don't know what I heard from Chaim because, honestly, I don't listen to them projecting what a rebuild looks like because I have in my mind what a rebuild is. So, to me, those are all words. I'm going to go off of your spin on this because I think you're on to something.
Yeah.
Now, don't get too excited because I'm going to swat this down real quick. The problem is the two teams that you say are going to start aging out are the two teams that will just throw buku monies at anything and don't really care. Okay. So the Dodgers can age out whomever they want, and then they'll go get the next Mookie Betts or the next Freddie Freeman or the next Shohei Ohtani. The Phillies I'm a little bit more intrigued by, but I still think they're willing to spend money or at least be aggressive in the trade market to go get what they need. Padres I can see, but then the other problem with this is the next wave of teams are going to jump up to where those Dodgers and Phillies have been.
Who would you say that wave is?
I mean, you don't believe in them, but the Brewers.
Ah, come on.
I mean, let's be real. The infrastructure has been in place.
Show them some respect.
They're just going to continue to do this. It's just.
Are they? Because I don't believe it.
Okay, well, you cannot believe this all you want.
Doing it. The Rays, eventually it stopped. Like, I do believe.
Yeah,
I know. It's a bit. It's a bit for me. I know. I do believe eventually they're going to hit a snag. Like, the next Quinn Priester isn't going to become Quinn Priester. It doesn't always work, man.
DK after they win the World Series. I don't believe in them.
The last 3 years, they just continue to find guys, and it's like, where'd this guy come from?
And that's not going to keep happening. I truly believe that they cannot pot. It happened for a decade for the Cardinals. It's not going to for the Brewers,
you know what, man?
though.
You live in that la-la land, and you'll just live in denial of the Brewers. That's fine. But I still think the Mets are going to be a team that will spend a lot of money. I don't know what the Miami Marlins are going to look like, but at least they're developing some pieces.
Okay.
Sure. But what I'm saying is some of these teams, the Diamondbacks, it was a down year for the Diamondbacks, but they still have a couple of stars on their roster.
They're interesting.
A down year for some of these.
Concede that one.
A down year for some of these other teams. I still think they're ahead of the schedule than where the Cardinals are at. So yeah, 2027 might be off and running for the Cardinals as you're living in your la-la land with. But the problem is the Cardinals still have to build up their timeline to get to where some of these teams already are at, which is ahead of the Cardinals.
Not by much, though.
What?
19 games. That's not that much.
Yeah,
to make up.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
There's no.
couldn't hide his, like,
T-Bone,
disgust.
what I'm learning is there's no getting him out of Dream World. We just need to let him live there. It's like in the Leo DiCaprio film. What was that?
There's a lot of those.
There's a lot of them. The one where it was like in a dream world.
Oh, Inception?
Inception,
Oh,
thank you. The one that
great movie,
confused
by
the
the way.
hell out of me.
Fantastic.
You just need to leave him in there, live in his own world, and, he'll come out of it when he chooses
spinning.
or stay there forever.
Was he in a dream at the end, or was that real?
No, I don't know if it was him, but I thought his wife, wasn't she in the dream?
Well, that's the question. It leaves you with a question at the end.
I don't know,
'cause he
dude. I
spins
walked
the
out of that
top,
film and I was
And
pissed.
you're wondering, is he still in a dream, or did he make his way out? Is this now his real life?
Don't know.
T-Bone?
I've lost track of where
I'm
we
actually
are.
pissed off again. Now we just got back to it.
I heard that, and I still think like 4 to 5 years is what it's going to take. Now, I like what you're saying of like maybe at that point you have this flexibility that you can go out and spend. But to me, this was the latest reminder of just how little depth they have in the minor leagues to help them really accelerate this thing. And I don't think they're going to spend to get out of it. I think they're going to wait to spend until they're ready to get out of it,
I agree
like
with
at
that.
the back end. And if that's the case, like, okay, sure, right now it looks like some of these windows are questionable. Like, okay, what do the Phillies look like? What do the Dodgers look like? But I do know that they've got the financial might to just, one window closes, they can reopen another one. And on top of the fact that it looks like the Giants, the Diamondbacks might be teams that are on the rise with their windows. I don't know how much that matters, and it just comes down to, do the Cubs end up spending to create theirs? Because I'm kind of with you. Like, I'll give the Brewers their respect this year. I don't know that they can sustain this for a 5+ year run, and if that's the case, the only team that I would be fearful that would do that would be the Cubs, because they should have the financial might to do it as well. And if they don't do it, then yeah, the division's going to be opened up for the Cardinals to go out there and spend like they should when they're ready to, and really start taking the NL Central by its reins.
I think there's a window here, and I do find it really interesting how the Cardinals are going to navigate this. It does, like, if this is the way that they're viewing it, to me, that means you should trade Brendan Donovan. You should trade Lars Nootbaar this offseason. You should look at potentially moving on from Wilson Contreras. Like, these are the kinds of things that you do if really for the next couple of years, they can say all they want to about championship mindset and not conceding anything. Like, let's be real. Those are all things you should be saying if you're in Chaim Bloom's shoes. And also, the moves that you make should not necessarily be dictated by those things, those intangibles. You need players. You need guys that can help you win a championship when you get to this place that he's talking about right now. When you're ready to get to that finish line of, all right, now we put our foot on the accelerator. And if you don't believe that Brendan Donovan is going to be in his prime when that takes place, if you don't believe that Lars Nootbaar helps you serve that goal, well, then have him be a piece in a trade that gets you the player that can help you get to that ultimate goal. So you're going to need placeholders here. Like, it's why Sonny Gray, to me, I just don't know if he makes sense to trade going into next year. I don't want to push the accelerator on the players that are currently in your system. Let them develop down in the minors the way that the Blues are right now, with Dvorsky, with Stenberg, with
Carbonneau, who they sent down.
going back down. You don't need to push them. You've got guys up here that can maintain what you're doing at the NHL level while they continue to develop. That, to me, should continue to be the goal for the St. Louis Cardinals as well. So this offseason, all of your moves should reflect that. And that's what we're going to judge them off of this offseason. I wish they were in a spot, or they felt as though they were in a spot, to go get a Kyle Tucker, right? Like, accelerate this thing. Go get the guy that can be here in his prime when you're good again. But they clearly don't view themselves that way. So it's going to be a strange offseason, and it's going to be more about 2027 than it is 2026.
Yeah, I think you're just living here, buddy, because you're afraid of a rebuild. Little PTSD of the Kansas City Royals.
It's not afraid so much as a dislike, disdain.
It's okay to say you're afraid, man.
Oh, I'm afraid of many things, specifically flying.
And that other plane coming at you. Yeah, we get it, man.
Morbidity is something that, like, if I see on a show or a movie.
Did he say that right?
Yeah, morbidity, yeah.
Yeah. If I see on a show or a movie somebody similar to my age that ends up getting, like, terminally ill, it gives me severe anxiety in the moment. Like, I fear then, like, that's going to be the way that I go. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have cancer. So, yeah, anxiety, it's a hell of a thing, man.
I thought you were on medication for that.
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about that. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive in to some NFL quick hitters. We got questions and answers coming up at 11:45. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. YouTube chat is available for you at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Alex, yesterday I went over to the park in St. Charles, met a guy named Jake, and we were talking at the very beginning. He's like, hey.
You went with your kid, right? Or you?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't just go to the park by yourself?
Me, my wife, Luca, we all went to the park together.
Again, with your story.
We were over at the playground, and he says, hey, BK? I was like, yeah, man, what's going on? He's like, hey, I listen to you guys' show every day. I said, oh, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. He's like, yeah, I really enjoy the show. Don't follow your picks, right? It's like, yeah, that'll win you a decent amount of money. He's like, yeah. Rough one for you in the first month of the pick'em, huh? Jeez, man. This is what people know our show for?
Well,
like,
they know you for that.
I don't know about our show.
I'm known as the blues guy on our show, but they don't talk to me about picks.
So you're the blues guy, he's the Cardinals guy,
You're
and
the
I'm the guy
picks.
that sucks at making picks, huh?
Well, if you want to view it like, since you want to live in optimism world with the Cardinals, you're the guy that wins people money.
That's
I
true.
didn't tell you how they follow
That's
that,
true.
but you are the guy that win people money.
That's true.
We've done well on Underdog this year. I have done
Hell
extremely well on my prop picks this year.
If you flexed my hockey play yesterday in our read, you won money.
I'm just not so good against the spread sometimes.
It's all right to admit when you're bad at something, man.
Yeah, I'm
We all
really,
do.
really bad at making picks against the spread. I think my process is sound. Unfortunately, my results are not. So maybe I should go back to the drawing table when it comes to my process.
You're also still in denial about the Brewers, so maybe you need to start looking at the sports takes too a little
All
bit.
right, in 15 minutes, we'll get into NFL quick hitters. Coming up next, is there a legitimate reason to question the Blues' ability to score this year? Alex is going to get big mad here on 101 ESPN. Alex, it is football season. We're in full swing, and this is when Underdog really gets fun. You start learning a little bit more about these teams, how they like to play, and that means you can make picks over on Underdog. Download the app today if you have not done so yet. I've got a play for you for Thursday night football tomorrow night. Cam Scatterbu higher on his rushing yards, rushing and receiving touchdowns. Just got to get one of them. Jalen Hurts higher than 237 passing plus rushing yardage, and I've got Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to get a long rush. It's been a while. He has not been the same guy this year. Higher than 18.5 as his longest rush attempt for tomorrow night.
I love those plays, BK. And BK just showed you how easy it is to use Underdog. And if you get your entries right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So download the Underdog app today. Make sure you sign up with promo code BKO to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Crushed it. Greg Wyshynski of ESPN.com is going to join the show coming up at 1 o'clock today. He made his predictions earlier, Alex, on who will make the playoffs from the NL Central. Here is what he had them pegged as from top to bottom. The NL Central. The Central Division, rather,
I guess you take him over the
for
Brewers,
this year's postseason. He's got the Colorado Avalanche at number 1 in the division. No real surprise there. Dallas Stars, number 2.
I'd flip those, but sure.
Utah Mammoth at number 3. The Winnipeg Jets as your wild card team from the Central Division. And then on the outside looking in, he has the Minnesota Wild, then your St. Louis Blues, and finally coming up the rear, the Nashville Predators and the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll go ahead and explain in his words why he has the Blues missing the playoffs this year. Quote, I have St. Louis right on the cusp of the playoff bubble. If the Blues make it, no surprise. If they barely miss it, no surprise. Heck, even if they finish at second in the division, that wouldn't come as a surprise to me because Monty gets that out of his teams. But his teams can also sometimes underwhelm you offensively without a star doing their thing. See what David Pastrnak did during the coach's time with the Bruins. The Blues don't have that guy currently on the roster, and they did finish 27th in expected goals per 60 minutes last season at 5-on-5. I think they barely miss the playoffs this year.
Well, first of all, this is why, as BK likes to remind me, very Tony-like, it's important to read the articles. Because I think the Central Division, or the NL Central, is going to finish very tight. My personal belief is there's going to be 5 teams that make it to the playoffs this year in the Western Conference from the Central Division, and there's going to be 2 wild cards. So that's the premise of where he's at. Mm-hmm. I'll tell him this when we speak to him. I think he's crazy. Like, he needs to stop with this Utah Mammoth being better than what they are. Guys, they have the exact same goaltender that they've had for the last 2 years that they've been trying to hype up as they're going to be a playoff team.
He was good last year, though, right?
Sure. No, he wasn't, actually. The guy that actually played more games for them last year is not on the team anymore, and Connor Ingram. Vejmelka's their guy, and Vejmelka last year had a .904 save percentage. Average. That's average. 900 is average. Okay. That's average.
Can I look up Jordan Bennington's stats for recent seasons real quick?
Look at last season. Don't look at recent seasons. Look at last season.
If we're going to be consistent here, Jordan Bennington, when he had a .904 save percentage, we consistently said top 10 goalie in the NHL. Meanwhile, I'm being told right now I need to reject this premise that this team's going to be good because of their .904 save percentage.
Actually, don't look at Bennington's last year. It was 900.
That's why I'm like, hey,
the year prior was 913 save percentage. But I'm... The reason that I'm stating this is because this has been their guy all along, and they haven't made the playoffs. They weren't even close to the playoffs last year. Calgary would finish higher than them. So I'm done with this premise of Utah is better than the Blues. This is like last year when people said that Nashville was going to go on a tear and be one of the best teams because of all their offseason additions. Where'd they finish?
Somewhere last.
Bottom. So, but his premise of the offense, man, that's the least thing I'm curious about with this Blues team right now. Like, if you were to ask me my concern, what does your defense look like in their own end? Because I do think preseason, it raised some alarm bells. Now, I don't buy too much stock into it because it was preseason. Yeah. But then also the way that they ended the season last year at 6-on-5. Like, that's an area that I'm curious about. They finished top 5 in the National Hockey League in goals scored. And I get it as expected goals they weren't supposed to be. Poo-poo. This 5th most goals scored in the National Hockey League.
I know how much others on the station hate the expected numbers.
And Monty made this reference the other day. Like, they had the 2nd best power play from Christmas on last year. So, like, I'm not worried about the offense. If your offense underperforms like he thinks it's going to, then yeah, you're not a playoff team. That's the one area that I am not concerned about.
So I am curious because I've seen this some other places as well. What is the concern about the offense? Other than, and maybe it is as simple as this, maybe they don't have a go-to guy. They don't have their David Pasternak. And this is something we were going to get to the other day, but then the breaking news happened with some Blues stuff. But like, when you look across the NHL, Alex, if you're looking into, okay, who are the Stanley Cup contenders? Basically, all of them have a top 20 player in the sport. They've got somebody that they can point to and say, like, hey, Florida, we've got Matthew Tkachuk. Previously, they had Alexander Barkov, right? You look, if you want to, with the, I don't know, who else would you throw up into Tampa Bay Lightning, right? They have 2 or 3 different guys that you can point to. Colorado, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar. You look at Vegas, they've got superstars. Like these teams, Edmonton, obviously 2 of the best in the world right now. These teams that are competing for something really meaningful, almost every one of them, I think maybe literally every one of them, have a top 20 player. The Blues don't have that currently. Now, you may project them to. Maybe you believe that Robert Thomas can get into that category. You believe that Dylan Holloway could be there eventually. Jordan Kyrou maybe. And you can make your case for any one of them individually. But they aren't there yet. At least not based upon consensus nationally/internationally. So I can understand that being a critique, that being your concern. I don't have a lot of concerns, though, about them being able to produce offensively. I think Jordan Kyrou is a 30 to 35 goal scorer in the NHL at this point in his career. I think Dylan Holloway, my expectation is that he will be in that criteria soon. I think Pius Suter is going to be a 20-plus goal scorer. I think Jake Neighbors fits into that criteria. Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas. Like, they've got a lot of these guys that are 20-plus goal scorers. So I don't have a ton of concerns in that area. Am I missing something? Because it seems as though that is something that nationally people are bringing up.
I think it's probably nationally you look at it and say, okay, well, Dylan Holloway can't do that again because he's an unknown commodity right now. Like the ones that I would say people look at it and say are a sure thing offensively is Thomas and Kyrou. Because fairly, those are the only guys that consistently put up those numbers. Now, Buchnevich is always around like a 65 to 70 point player. Schen's always floating around 20 goals. And then you've got Suter, who what he did last year, I don't know if people buy a lot of stock into. And then Bukestad, who only did the 20 goals 2 years ago.
And I'm not even like putting Bukestad into this criteria.
I mean, I'm not either. Like what I'm looking at is I'm looking at your top 6. And I'm looking at your top 6 under Jim Montgomery as well. And I also don't believe these people are putting enough credit into what the defense can do on the offensive side. Like, you looked at it last year and you're like, whoa, these numbers are outlandish. But I think that's what they are under Jim Montgomery.
I do have some questions. That's one area that if you're going to have your critiques, if you're going to have your questions about the Blues, can Parayko put up 16 goals again? I don't know. I would probably take the under. Can Cam Fowler be on the same pace that he was a year ago, where he had 36 points in 50 games, which projects to like 50 plus over the course of a full season? I would take the under on that as well. Philip Broberg, he was unbelievable to start out the season. Went a little cold there afterwards. Some of that may have been due to the injuries. Like, can he be a 30 to 40 point producer again this year? Maybe. That one I'm willing to buy into a little bit more. And then can Jimmy Snuggerud replace what you had last year with Zach Bolduc, 20 goals-ish, somewhere in that around that range? Again, I could buy into that. But the defensive side of things, I agree with your question, Alex. That to me is far more reasonable than questioning what they can get offensively, both in terms of the offensive production from the defense and also how you're going to play in your own end.
Yeah.
Because we've seen now for, 4 years, that's been the biggest issue for the St. Louis Blues, even when they were producing on the goal scoring
and you
side
have
of
some
things.
unknowns on the defensive side. Like, and I'm not just talking about the defensemen, you're talking about the forwards as well. Like, you're relying on Pius Suter, who was really good defensively last year. He's going to be a piece that you use. You lost Foxa, who was really good defensively as a centerman, and now you're replacing it with a Sundqvist or a Bukestad or a Nathan Walker. You've got wingers now. They're going to be eating more time, like a Joseph on the third line in that area. What does Kyrou look like? Does Buchnevich continue to progress? Does Snuggerud have a slump? Like, that's the defensive angle of this whole thing. I think that's the bigger question, more so than it's the offense. And it's reference to Jim Montgomery's team that's always like superstar heavy. He's right. Like, that first year where they won 65 games, Pasternak scored 61 goals, and then the next closest was two guys that scored 27.
But that was a reflection of their roster.
And that was a 37-year-old Bergeron.
If Craig Berube, if this was his first opportunity as an NHL head coach, I'd be like, man, a little too star dependent. Well, yeah, that's their roster in Toronto. It's not his first opportunity, so it's different. We saw what he was able to do here in St. Louis. But Jim Montgomery, when he was in Dallas, was not as star dependent as he was when he was in Boston. Yes, your team should reflect the talent that is on them. The fact that he was able to get 60 goals out of a guy like Pasternak, to me, is the more important aspect of it. Yep. His stars produce when they play under Jim Montgomery, as opposed to, having this rubber band effect where they're good one year and not so good the next. No, he puts them in a position to succeed. They take advantage of it. I don't think that's a criticism of Jim Montgomery. I think that's a perk of having him as your head coach.
Jim Montgomery doesn't really put the emphasis on you need to score as many goals as possible, as much as if you're playing on the offensive side, you just need to be as responsible on the defensive side. Like, that's his mindset. And Pasternak, 61 goals, a lot of those came on the power play because he's just a power play weapon for you.
Again, I don't view that as a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but I think the way he's framing it is, well, they're only relying on one guy to create all of their offense for them, and that's not the case because the Blues don't have that star.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, like, yes, of course they had to rely upon one guy to score for them. Who was the other guy that you would have put into that criteria? I mean, I'm looking at the roster right now. Patrice Bergeron, great player, great all-around player. He's not a guy that you expect to score 40 goals. It's like, who else was going to be that player for them?
I mean, Brad Marchand would probably be their other one because he scored 30 the next year, but he was also hurt that season, and I don't know what was going on for that.
He played 70 games, scored 21 goals, and was a plus 27 on the ice.
Yeah. Again, that was the thing. Like, defensively, that team was elite the season that Jim Montgomery took over, and so was the next season. The problem in Boston was the defense started to slip because you lost two of the best defensive forwards that you had in Bergeron and Krejci, and then you stopped scoring goals because you lost Bergeron and Krejci. So I don't look at that as a knock on Jim Montgomery. I actually think that's more of the reason why I would be pro Blues. Absolutely. Is because he he's had success in the pack mentality, whether it was with Dallas or that second year in Boston.
Yeah, I think some of the questions about the Blues goal scoring are a little overblown. I have questions about not having that go-to guy. I think that is fair. And if we're talking about the ultimate ceiling for this team, it's one of the reasons, and I've been saying this for years now, it's one of the reasons I'm not sure how they get to that place. I don't know what the blueprint is to get there unless something about the sport dramatically changes in the way that these teams are constructed. And maybe that's going to happen with the spike in the CB in the cap and how teams are having to pay so much to one player. Maybe that's possible, but that's my big question about them. I don't have a whole lot of questions about how that works in the regular season, though. In any sport, if you have great depth, you generally speaking are going to be a good regular season team. We see it in baseball, we see it in basketball, we see it in hockey all the time. Those teams have success. And so that's why I think that the Blues will be a good team this year. We'll certainly be breaking that down as we continue along here on BK and Ferrario. We will be broadcasting live tomorrow from Enterprise Center, as will the Fast Lane. We'll both be broadcasting live there for the Blues opening night. Blues fans are invited to the opening night rally at Union Station to kick off all of the festivities, which 101 ESPN will be part of. That is coming up tomorrow from 3 to 5:30 for the home opener for the St. Louis Blues. Pre-game coverage tomorrow on 101 ESPN begins with Alex starting at 6 o'clock. All of that leads up to puck drop with your Blues hosting the Minnesota Wild at 7. Catch all of the action tomorrow right here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved for questions and answers. NFL Quick Hitters is next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. And starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account here in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues will get their season started tomorrow night as they host the Minnesota Wild. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and Puck Drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. And in Major League Baseball, 4 elimination games today in the divisional round. And tonight here on 101 ESPN, you'll hear the Dodgers versus the Phillies with pregame coverage starting at 7:30 with first pitch at 8 o'clock as the LA Dodgers look to sweep Philadelphia and advance to the National League Championship Series. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. CMLondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. It is BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, Thursday night football tomorrow night. Eagles versus the G-Men in New Jersey.
Glad Blues hockey's back on Thursday.
Amen to that.
Eagles are a 7.5-point favorite in this one. Is there any reason to believe that the Giants can pull this one off?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Sure.
What are we giving up on the G-Men for so quickly? It's not about the G-Men, it's about the Eagles.
Okay, I was about to say, what?
I'd love for you to give me more perspective on this because I don't even care about the Eagles.
Have we been watching Philadelphia?
Did you hear the Eagles had a multi-hour conversation with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley,
you know what that
and
tells
AJ
me?
Brown?
They're going to be pissed off.
No, it tells me that there's a problem in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we do this, though, where we act like it's a problem, and then, like, championship caliber teams come out pissed off and put, like, 60 points up.
You know what I've never heard? Never heard, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not even going to believe you just tell me. I've never heard a championship caliber team have a players-only meeting in Week 5.
Blues did it in
They had issues
2019.
last year.
Sure, but that wasn't like Week 5. That was
mean,
hey,
it
we're
was in
about to sell
October.
off.
It was in
pretty
October.
early.
Army had a press conference in November
And as
saying, I'm
we've
going to
always
trade
said,
people.
the Blues are a one-off on what they did.
Yeah, but you wanted a reference. I gave you a reference.
This time last year, it is October 8th, the Philadelphia Eagles were 2-2. They had a very close win in Brazil against Green Bay. They lost against the Atlanta Falcons. They won by 3 against the New Orleans Saints, and then they lost by 17 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were in the midst of their bye week. Then they came out of the bye.
What'd they do?
They beat the Cleveland Browns by 4.
That's not as impressive as I thought they were going to do.
So the reason that I bring that up, it took a while last year too. And 2 years ago, we know what happened. It was a disaster. The Eagles do this, man. They just get off to these weird starts. They don't look totally right. And even toward the end of last year in the regular season, they beat the Carolina Panthers by a score. They lost to the Washington Commanders. They beat the Giants in the final week of the regular season by a score. Like, they do this. I have no real concerns going into tomorrow night. I think the Eagles are just fine.
And they're also a team that doesn't have to do this early on in the season.
No doubt.
Like, all you gotta do is get into the playoffs if you're the Eagles and you just turn it on when you need to. And, like, what do the Giants have to get excited about? They don't even have their best receiver right now. So, like, why am I going to say...
Or apparently they're number 2. Darius Slayton is potentially going to miss this game as well.
Which is awesome. I picked him up on the waiver wire. I wasted a freaking waiver wire on that one. It's an awesome
That's
move.
tough.
I
Alex,
think this one's a clear-cut Eagles win covers.
T-Bone and I have been eliminated from our Survivor pool. I had the Bills last week. Didn't go well. T-Bone just forgot to put his picks in.
It still gets me every time.
You are the only one still alive. Do you have an early projection on who you like pick-wise for a Survivor pool?
So here's my progression of thought. Originally, it was the Packers. I'm like, this is my clear-cut go-to. Bengals at home. That team stinks. Then they traded for Flacco. And I'm like, what does Flacco do well? Heave the ball through the air. And what does he got there? Elite receivers. So then I'm like, well, let's go Rams and Ravens. But I don't care what T-Bone says if McVay likes to be on the road or east to west, west to east. That one scares me as well. As bad as the Ravens are, I just don't know. So you know the one.
If you want to pick the Rams, I think you can trust them this week.
You
take it from the guy that picked the Bills last week?
So
Yeah.
So Ian Rappaport just tweeted this one out. Kyler Murray is dealing with a foot injury and is not expected to practice. If he doesn't play, I'm going Colts all the way at home against the Cardinals.
That's fair.
If he doesn't play. So right now, I think my gut is still going to stick with the Rams over the Ravens. But as the season progresses, or the week progresses, I should say, if Kyler's not playing, I'm taking Colts every day of the week.
Did either of you guys put any waiver claims in for the Chargers running backs last night?
No.
Come on, Vidal.
I did it for
Hassan Haskins.
Darius Slayton. He's not even
I
playing.
got Spears from Tennessee. That's who I went with my
Tajay Spears.
I don't really have running back problems more as I have wide receiver and quarterback
I got
problems.
running back problems, but those guys aren't going to fix it.
Marion Hampton is out for at least the next month, so somebody's going to emerge as the Chargers' #1 running back over the next month. Whoever it is might end up winning you the next month of your fantasy league, and here's why. The Chargers' schedule in this stretch of time: the Miami Dolphins, then the Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, then the Tennessee Titans. 2 of those 4 games are elite matchups for your running back. So if you were able to pull off one or both of those backs, I would start them with confidence this weekend against the Miami Dolphins. You might end up taking like a 4 in that spot, but the ceiling for either of them is multiple touchdowns. Vidal and Hassan Haskins. And if they're still available today in your league, I would recommend going to pick them up as soon as humanly possible because they could potentially help you win in your fantasy league this weekend.
I like it. Because if we're being honest, what helps typically 500 team in fantasy get beyond that? You end up getting a waiver claim that goes right, especially a running back.
Yeah, running back that's filling in, especially if you have the top 2 guys out. Now you're down to the 3rd back. Now, it doesn't help they also have their tackles out. I don't know how productive the running game is going to be, but if you think the Chargers are good, and this is the best matchup you could possibly ask for, is against the Miami Dolphins. If you think that they're going to be able to score a couple of touchdowns this week, it's pretty highly likely that at least one of them ends up scoring on.
Yeah.
So
I've tried to go more the trade route than claiming a running back, especially in our league. I've been working on some stuff.
Just giving up on it all.
Alex, you mentioned the Cardinals. They're 2-3 on the season. Do you guys think, I mean, the Chiefs are the obvious team here. Is there anybody else that currently finds themselves at or below 500 that you think will eventually make it to the playoffs? Give you some of the potential nominees.
Let me look through them real quick.
The Dolphins are 1-4.
No.
The Ravens and the Browns are 1-4.
No.
Bengals are 2-3. Texans are 2-3. The Raiders are 1-4. Those are your AFC teams outside of the Chiefs. Do any of those stand out to you as a potential playoff team?
It would probably be the Texans out of anybody. Like Texans and Bengals would be my number 2, my 1 and 2. Bengals, you're going to have to win in shootout fashion, and how good is Joe Flacco, we'll find out. It would be the Texans would be the team that I would say. I mean, their defense is elite. It's just really a matter of can you figure out what to do on the offensive side when your line can't block anybody. But I have no faith in the Dolphins. I don't know what the hell's going on with them, and Mike McDaniel seems to be breaking right now. The Raiders, I'm done with the hype on that team. So it would be Texans 1, Bengals 2.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that's below 500 outside the Chiefs in the AFC is a playoff team.
Let's go to the NFC. At or below 500. The Cowboys are 2-2-1. The G-Men T-Bone Squad, 1-4.
They're winning tomorrow.
You won't put money on it?
You really believe that?
You want to put money on it right now?
I feel bad. I would put money on plus 7.5.
No, you said they're winning. You were confident.
Too. I would definitely feel a lot better about that than them winning outright.
I still think there's a chance.
Put the money where your mouth is.
Bears are 2-2. Falcons are also 2-2, and then you have the Panthers at 2-3, Saints at 1-4, and the Cardinals at 2-3. Any of those teams jump out at you? I agree with you, Alex, by the way, on the AFC side of things. I think the Texans.
Probably the Cowboys. That would be it.
2-1?
But again, just like the Bengals, I said, you're going to have to win every single game in shootout fashion.
Are we out on the Falcons, or do we still think they could do it?
I'm out.
I'm out on the Falcons. You've put up 76 points so far this season. That's absurd.
Can I throw another one out there? Because I agree Dallas would probably be my number 1 pick. The Bears?
No.
I saw today.
I don't trust the quarterback.
I don't really either, but then I saw that they held the Cowboys in check when they ran into them, and I love the Cowboys offense. So I still think there's a chance the defense can kind of figure it out. And I saw today, I think 2 of their offensive linemen are like top 15 in pass block win rate so far this season.
I don't care about that stuff.
Don't care about an O-line, do you?
No, I think the stat is very flawed. We don't have to get into
Here's
that.
the final 7 games of the season for the Bears, and you tell me if they win.
I called numbers, and BK then is suddenly not a stat guy.
Yeah, that's one that I don't like.
Here's the last 7 games. You tell me win or loss for the Bears. Steelers.
Like, I got a nugget for you.
I thought, he's going to be so happy that I bring up this nerdy stat of pass block win rate that nobody really cares about, and even he didn't even care.
It's funny he doesn't care about the offensive line when he complained all of last year about the Chiefs' offensive line.
I care a lot about the offensive line. I think it's the most underrated thing in football that we don't discuss enough. I think ESPN's pass block win rate is a horrific statistic that does not take into account what is necessary
Pick a
in order
better
to
statistic,
actually
T-Bone.
analyze the offensive line play. That is why I don't like this statistic.
Can we do this now? Because tell me if this is a win or loss. Not you, because you think the Bears are going to win. BK, you tell me. Win or loss for the Bears the last 7 games. Steelers at home.
They can win that one.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they lose that one. Eagles at home. Or Eagles on the road.
No.
Packers on the road.
No.
Browns at home.
Yes.
Yeah, they could win that.
I think the defense makes Caleb Williams' life a nightmare, so I say no on that one. Packers at home.
No.
49ers on the road.
No.
Lions at home.
No.
So that's
2 and 5.
2 and 5. I think 1 and 6.
I like that he did that because I was about to bring up their next few weeks.
Oh yeah, well that's why I did it.
It's amazing.
I did it right now.
You got Washington on the road.
That's
That's
a
going to be
loss.
tough. But after that, New Orleans, Baltimore, Cincinnati, the Giants, and the Vikings.
Those are 5 wins.
Those 5, those are very winnable. You could go like 4-1 in that stretch. Then you've got the Steelers game. I disagree with you on that one. I think they could win that game. That gets you to like 5-1. You could be maybe 7-3 after the first 10 weeks,
you just gotta
feeling
steal
good.
2 wins there.
No.
Then you have that
I'm
death
telling
trap
you.
that is the final 6 weeks of the regular
Their
season.
luck with that
line
one.
winning the pass blocking percentage game.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm telling you,
I'm out
look,
on this one.
I said I was going different because I think Cowboys are the best
it's
answer
different.
here, but I think the Bears are the second best answer.
Oh, it's different.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. Questions and answers next here on 101 ESPN. Eli Drinkwitz is strangely confident going into this game.
No, loss.
That's not a good sign if he's anything like our boy BK over here.
I feel like he was confident going into A&M last year, too.
The SEC teleconference is this time every week. And for those of you that have never been on these calls, they're horrible for the most part. It's the most boring thing. These coaches dread them. It's just it's a constant revolving door of coaches being asked like 3 or 4 questions, most of which are mind-numbingly boring and like, hey, any update on the injury report? No, we'll get that to you tomorrow. Okay, cool. Thanks, coach. And then they go to the next coach, right?
So it's like any press conference.
Yeah, but this is even worse because it's so short. You get less than 10 minutes with each coach. And so they're back to back to back to back, and you've got all 16 of them or whatever. So Drink, I don't know if he was before or after Kalen DeBoer, but one of them was about to go off. The other one was about to start. And Drinkwitz asked Kalen DeBoer a question. He said, quote, "Are you wearing the black hoodie of death on Saturday in Columbia?" And DeBoer went into like, yeah, good to hear you, Coach Drink. Not sure what the weather forecast is, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, more than likely. And Drink said, we're wearing black. So that's the only question that I needed for this Saturday. Just little stuff like that. He doesn't show that kind of confidence normally when he's not really feeling himself. And he said a couple of things at his press conference. I think Drink believes they're winning on Saturday.
Well, I would hope so.
I was to say, you kind of need to believe you're going to win, right?
Yes, but
I bet Brett Bielema thinks they're going to win this weekend.
Now that I've seen Drinkwitz operate for a few years, there is a different way he approaches things when he's highly confident versus when he is like, yeah, I think we can win kind of thing. You know what I mean? There's just a different feel to him. And normally he's pretty stoic this time of the week. And now he's kind of playing it up a little bit. I'm curious to see how this one goes. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Cover Service text line.
Win.
For questions.
I smell an egg.
And answers.
Hard
From
boil.
the 314, do you think any of the Major League Baseball playoff game scores will be in double digits today?
Someone asking for an over-under. All right, we'll see if we can win you money.
Just fade us, whatever we say. How many elimination? All of them are elimination today, right?
Yeah.
I'd say no. I think these are the ones that are typically pretty tight.
I'd say Brewers Cubs is the one that's got a chance, where you could see that game getting into over 10 or over 9.5, whatever.
Trust Quinn Priester.
Well, and like both of those are pitch to contact pitchers. I don't know what the wind's doing, but if it's blowing out now, things suddenly get a little bit more interesting. The Cubs play better at home. Brewers, I believe in. Like that's the one where I could see it being like 6-4 is the final score. Milwaukee sweeps the
Blue
Cubs.
Jays and Yankees both just have such explosive offenses. I know the pitching is pretty good on the Yankee side of things. They've got Schlittler finally going today, as some of us predicted yesterday.
Again, we didn't question win or who. We just questioned win.
Yeah, I think that one is the one that I would take the highest total on, if that's what you're asking about here. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from Hate the Fan.
Whoa.
Oh, Hate
you
the
can't
Fats,
say that.
rather.
What?
I don't know if you could say that either.
I don't think we could do that, man.
Does Robert Thomas get to 100 points this year, Alex?
No. I don't think 100 points.
I agree.
I think 90 points is very realistic. I don't 100. I mean, we got to get to 90 before we can get to 100. And I mean, like you're talking, he has to be a 30 goal scorer, or at minimum, you have to have a 40 goal scorer on the team for you to get to 100 points.
From the 217, bigger program win this week potentially: Mizzou over Bama or Illinois against Ohio State. Mizzou.
Mizzou over Bama.
What?
Mizzou's been building to this moment. Illinois, I think this might be a one-off.
Oh, here we go again. Another team he doesn't believe in.
I think Illinois is having a really good season, but I think their programs are in different places. I think the teams are in very similar spots. The programs are in different places.
I would say Illinois because, one, I still think they are building towards something, and I don't think it's a one-off. I think Brett Bielema's going to consistently be a 9-10 win coach, just like Eli Drinkwitz in the Big Ten. And if we're being honest, it's Illinois taking down Ohio State while they're still at the peak of their power.
That's
Alabama
true.
is
That's a good
not
point.
the Alabama of old. If this was the Saban Bama rolling into town, sure, I would give the edge to Drinkwitz and the Tigers. Not here. I think if Illinois wins, it is a more defining program win, and it probably gets them to the college football playoff.
Yeah, but I think, would they be considered, where would they be considered in rankings in the Big Ten if they win? The third best team?
Yeah.
I could argue Mizzou, if they beat the SEC, is a top 2 team in the SEC.
I mean, if Mizzou beats Bama this weekend, you could make a case they're the best team in the SEC.
Sure, but there would be some that argue.
Ole Miss.
There will be
Miss
some that
first.
will argue against Illinois.
But what I'm saying is, like, you're a guaranteed top 2 team. Where Illinois, I mean, the highest you can go is 3 if you beat Ohio State.
But I think that's because it's a deeper,
Illinois won, to
a
be
better
fair.
conference. Yeah, or not a better conference, a more elite talent at the top of the conference than it is in the SEC.
Yeah, again, mine is more about the program as opposed to the team. This year, I think it's a bigger win this season for Illinois. If Illinois beats Ohio State, it puts them on the path to the playoff. And it puts you in a really good spot for the 2025 Illinois Fighting Illini to be ranked in the top 7 or 8 after this weekend. Long term, I think this is the one thing that's really missing so far on Drink's regular season resume. He doesn't have this program-defining, like, headline-making win at Mizzou, and this would give him that. So that is why, for me, I view it as a little bit more important for Mizzou and for Eli Drinkwitz as opposed to Illinois. I think they are also further along in their program build than Brett Bielema is. They have recruited at a higher level. They have been a better team over more seasons than Illinois has been. I think Illinois is trying to get to where Missouri currently finds itself, which is a consistent 9+ win football team. I think Brett Bielema might be able to build that at Illinois. I don't think he is there just yet. So for me, I think it would be bigger for Mizzou. But I get your point, T-Bone, and it's a fair one, especially the fact that Ohio State is at a better spot right now than Alabama is. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, do you find yourself locked into this year's Major League Baseball postseason, or is it falling a little bit short for you? I'm curious where people find themselves on this postseason, especially as we see the Cardinals on the outside looking in. But next, what's the number one factor that will determine this week's Alabama versus Missouri game? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, what's the number one factor that will determine the Mizzou versus Alabama result on Saturday? AJ McCarron seems to think it's not really going to matter what Missouri does in this game.
I think Alabama puts it on them.
Woo! Let's go. Let's go, Todd.
Listen, I think I don't think Missouri throws the ball that great.
They don't.
And with Bo Perbula, I think that's how you say his name. But if you can stop, what's the running back, Ahmad
Hardy,
former U. Hardy. If you can stop him, I think they're just super one-dimensional. Alabama focus on the run, allow their secondary to just man up and play free, really focus on the run. And listen, I think Alabama, from an offensive standpoint, they're rolling right now. I think if you can carry that confidence in that you just played with this past weekend, I think Vandy's a better team than Missouri.
You like the Alabama's rolling right now?
Like, that was pretty good. I was going to blast the guy, and I'm like, that was pretty good, though, so way to go. Like, come on, man, the disrespect there. You can't mispronounce the one guy's name and then say, what's the other guy's name?
If I didn't know who was playing for the other team, yeah, I'd probably take the team I knew.
He's a national broadcaster. Shouldn't you know it?
No.
Fair, first of all. Second of all, that is what Missouri can change on Saturday.
God, I hope he shoves it down their throat.
If they win on Saturday, Alex, and Bo Perbula,
and then what's his name?
And what's his name? The running back, number 29.
Sounds like Alabama.
If they go down there, or if the Alabama comes up here, rather, and they win on Saturday, that stops. That's over. You don't have to hear that anymore. That's what's on the line on Saturday, man. And so it's what makes it so intriguing to me. Out of curiosity, Alex, I've got my answer. I am curious where you're coming from on this. What do you think is the number one factor that's going to determine this game? Because McCarron doesn't seem to think anything will. But for you, what do you think is that?
I mean, to me, it's the defense specifically. Can the secondary stop Ty Simpson from throwing the ball deep?
That's it.
And I guess
it's the one.
Because I can add into it, can the defensive line keep Ty Simpson from throwing the football as much? Because that's really what you're relying upon. But, I mean, as I've watched Mizzou over these last couple of weeks, secondary is a problem. And, like, one thing that Ty Simpson is really good at is heaving the deep ball. You got to deal with Ryan Williams. Like, you've got your own issues. I don't know if that's the secondary fixing it or if it's just the defensive line being able to get in the face of Ty Simpson fast enough. But that's going to be the deciding factor.
See, it's interesting because I went to, is Alabama able to stop Mizzou's run game? Because if Alabama stops the Mizzou run game, now I wouldn't give as much disrespect to Perbula as he did, but I do think if you force Perbula to beat the Alabama team through the air, I'm not sure Mizzou's going to win this football game because I think it comes down to running the ball. And if you run the ball, that also keeps the defense off the field, and allows you to start dictating the possession game, which I think is going to be critical for the Tigers.
And here's what the good teams on their schedule have done so far this year. Florida State ran the ball 49 times for 230 yards and 4 touchdowns against Alabama. Now, that was week 1. Maybe that's a weird one-off, right? Nope. Georgia, 33 carries for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns, 7 yards per attempt against Alabama. And then Vanderbilt last week, I don't know why they went away from it as much as they did. They ran the ball 19 times. That's it. 19 times, 135 yards, 7 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Every team that commits to running the football against Alabama that is worth their salt has gone on to run it for 6 to 7 yards per carry on average. So if Missouri can continue that trend, which this is now 3 consecutive times, every team that has been a top 25 opponent that Alabama's gone up against this year, they run it for 5 to 7 yards per carry. Missouri potentially has a chance to be able to do that. So I'm with you guys. I think Missouri has to run for 150 plus in this game. I think Ahmad Hardy, if you looked at his box score and it says anything other than like 20 plus carries, something's gone horribly awry in this game. It tells you about the overall, the game script where Missouri potentially got down and so they had to throw the ball all over the yard or something happened injury-wise with him. But I think it's a disaster if he does not finish with 20 or more carries in this game. I agree with Alex, though. To me, the single biggest determining factor in this game on Saturday will be, can Missouri's secondary fix its problems? Eli Drinkwitz was talking about this at his press conference earlier in the week, said, hey, we've been focusing a lot on zone coverage because we had so many breakdowns in that area. I mean, the last time that we saw them play a real football team was South Carolina, and Eli Drinkwitz in his post-game press conference said, this crap has to get fixed. Well, now, for the first time, you're getting a real test because UMass, let's be real, they didn't have the players to take advantage of it. You're getting a real test with two of the best receivers in the SEC and a really talented quarterback in Ty Simpson that can take advantage of those deficiencies on the back end. So that, to me, is the thing that I'm most looking forward to finding out. Does Missouri have an answer in that area?
Yeah, well, and as we talked about yesterday in those big games, I'm also just going to be looking like, can Mizzou protect the ball at the right time? We've seen them in big games in the past fumble or throw an interception at the worst time. And then, honestly, like, it's a little bit of Drinkwitz, too, like game management. If you get the lead, how do you look in the third and fourth quarter? Can you continue with the proper game management to win a game? Or if you're behind, are you playing the aggressive style to get back?
That's what I'm glad you mentioned the aggressiveness. Drink at times gets very conservative. Very. And he's hesitant to go for it on fourth downs, all of these different things. He's got a kicker that, man, he made a huge kick against South Carolina, but I don't know how much you trust him in this game. If you're at the 35-yard line and it's 4th and 3,
go for it.
If you're at the 45-yard line, the plus 45, you're on the Alabama side of the 50, 45-yard line going in, it's 4th and 2. You going for it? Or are you punting?
Where are you at in the game?
45-yard line. Let's say you're in the third quarter down by a score.
That one, I think I'm punting because they still have time on the clock.
See, I think now, again, to me, it all
was the
depending on
quarter, I'm
it.
going
But if you've
for it.
been running the ball well, I'm going for it.
I'm going for it.
Now, like, if you haven't ran the ball well, I don't know that I'm going for it there.
I'm going for it, period. And the reason why is because I think Alabama's going to score. I don't think that Missouri has answers defensively to just, like, completely shut down Alabama. And I think you're going to have to steal possessions here. And that means getting super aggressive on some of these fourth down decisions that in the past Eli Drinkwitz has clammed up a bit in.
Yeah.
And deciding to go for it in spots where it's a 50-50 call and T-Bone's going to talk about it on Saturday and he's going to text us in the group chat and be like, ooh, I think Drink's getting a little too aggressive here. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
To win a game like this, as an underdog, at home, a potential program-defining victory, that's the spot where, in my opinion, I think you do have to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to have a lot of empty possessions against Alabama because I don't think they're going to have them. So I do agree, like, there's going to have to be an aggressive tone set by Eli Drinkwitz with the offense of, like, yeah, we're not going to back down here and be afraid. It's going to have to be, we're going to push it to Alabama to make them reconsider the way they're playing.
All right, T-Bone. Ryan Day says that you're a Illini. The game against Indiana, complete outlier.
Pitch the game, throw it out. It's not who they are. I can't quite explain that game. I know Nebraska had the same thing that happened last year and then came in and played us all the way to the fourth quarter. So throw that film out. Don't even barely look at it because to me that's not who we're playing. They, whatever it was in that game, it's an outlier. So we're going to look at the games that were played prior, what they did last year, what they've done the last two games. Brett's again one of the better coaches in the country and. He's a resilient guy, and they're a resilient team. So I think it says a lot about them to rebound the way they did, get a win against USC, and then go play the way they did last week. So, we all know that going through a tough loss can bring a bunch of people together. I think they've done that, and so we know we're going to get their best shot here on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I would look at that Indiana film.
You buy it?
No, because I think that's who Illinois is defensively against Indiana. Offensively, no. Like, I don't think that's who they are from an offensive perspective. But against all four Power Four opponents that they've played this season, Illinois has given up 430-plus total yards of offense in all four games. Whew. Like, they cannot play defense.
I was going to say, I'm not throwing that game tape out.
And it's really been two games where they've gotten crushed on the run. Indiana, giving up 312 yards on the ground against Indiana is a bit of an outlier. Part of that, too, was, of course, they could run the ball a lot in the second half. They were up so big. But, yeah, and they've given up 300-plus passing yards in 3 of those 4 games. No, this is who Illinois' defense is. Like, you want to talk about who should be going up for it on 4th and 2 in a game against a Power 4 conference opponent? It's going to be Brett Bielema and his squad, and they better not run the damn football.
That was
because they can't.
That was obviously coach speak, which AJ McCarron didn't really get the story on the other side of, like, hey, maybe don't give them headline material going into this.
AJ McCarron's not associated with the program. He's able to do it.
Somebody brought up a good point, which was what I was going to say before you tossed to McCarron's. Like, didn't he play for the Battlehawks?
Yeah, but he's just a Bama Hawk.
He hates Missouri.
Yeah, I think he just loves Alabama. I think he's from there. He played there. He is very much tied to that program.
But Bielema's our Day's obviously just not giving them headline material and be like, we're going to treat them with respect and then spank them in the first quarter.
14.5-point line in favor of Ohio State
That's actually
at Illinois. Yeah, it was 16.5 when it opened.
They felt that when it kept rising. Like, oh, come on. They'll be close.
Is that reasonable in your opinion?
That
T-Bone?
line?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I think Ohio State's one of the 2 elite teams in the country. I think it's them and Oregon. Now, to be fair, I'm not sure how much we've really seen from Ohio State. Like, they beat Texas. I don't think Texas is
The
very
game
good.
at Washington impressed me.
Yeah, but I think it's probably fair because I think their offense is really good. I think they could cover that.
It seems like a lot of points to me. I'm not.
I mean, they gave up 53 to Indiana.
Yeah,
I know 33 to
I think that's
USC.
I
fair.
agree though that their offense is great.
I don't know.
think
Your
they're
offense
talented.
I don't know that their offense has to be great. Like I just mentioned, all 4 opponents. Duke, Purdue is who you're getting carved up by. Illini defense. What the bleep is that?
The Purdue one is.
He's not wrong, man. Purdue's
Purdue
bad.
hung around because your defense wasn't good enough.
What do you think Illinois has to score in order for this game to be competitive? Like, what's the goal number for you as an Illini fan? We got to get here in order to keep this thing competitive.
35.
I was thinking 35 or 42.
Oh God, you're not scoring that against Ohio State.
I think they're going to have to put up incredible numbers, and I think it comes down. I don't even know how confident I am in this, but I mean they are a one-trick pony. Like Altmaier's going to have to throw for like 350 in this game and like 3 touchdowns, and that's like asking the O-line to hold up.
Congrats to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Coming up next, do you find yourself locked into this year's postseason? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
Two-strike pitch. Hits a drive down the line. If it's fair, it's his moment. It is. It's time. Judge has arrived.
What a moment last night at Yankee Stadium. That's what it sounded like on Turner Sports. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, really fun game. Back and forth. That is one of two series that has really had me locked in. Blue Jays versus Yankees, some of the big moments. I've been interested in that, especially last night, Judge having his big moment. Phillies, Dodgers, I've been interested in that one. Other than that, though, I'm having a tough time getting any attachment to the other series right now.
I can explain these for you. One, you don't like the fact that the Brewers are winning. Not just winning, dominating. Okay. And two, nobody cares about the Mariners and Tigers.
I want to, though.
I think the Mariners are a boring team.
They shouldn't be, though. They have the MVP. Cal Raleigh's amazing. I like Randy Rosarena. I think Julio Rodriguez is a really fun player. Their starting pitching is awesome.
If I'm not mistaken, Cal Raleigh hasn't done anything in this postseason. Did he homer last night? Yeah. I obviously have not watched.
You were watching Tigers Mariners on FS2?
To a guy that was wearing the Dump 61 here shirt. Wow. It was a cool story.
Awesome. So, I mean,
in Detroit.
But he's kind of falls into that Aaron Judge line of thinking that we talked about yesterday before his home run last night. Like, dude was mashing the baseball, Cal Raleigh, but he hadn't hit any home runs. And I guess when you're the MVP, that's what you want to see.
I mean, he had also played 2 games.
Yeah, I know, but still, like, I mean, Judge did also in the first couple and hadn't done much, or he was doing it, just wasn't hitting home runs. I just think the Mariners, they have exciting players, but, like, they're just at least for me, the narrative on the Mariners is they're a pitch-heavy team. And so I'm going into low-scoring games with that squad to where I want the offense, which is why I think I like Brewers and Cubs and I like Dodgers Phillies.
I think I'm the outlier here because all of the numbers ratings-wise suggest, man, people are really interested in this year's postseason. And I'm trying to figure out, Alex, I guess exploring, A, why that is, and B, why I'm not. And I don't really know the answer on those two things because, like, I think maybe it's this. I don't know that any of these teams are great. In fact, I would say right now, I don't think any of these teams are great. The Phillies are interesting to me. I find them to be fun, but now Zach Wheeler really changes the outlook for their rotation. The Dodgers have been flawed all season. Maybe they're clicking now. And like, I think it just kind of annoys me that they're able to flip the switch at the exact right time. The Blue Jays might be the team. And they were just like hiding in plain sight all year. And it took a while for us to see this is a great team. I don't think the Yankees are that. I continue to hedge and like short the Brewers stock. And so I think that's what it is because I have become so accustomed to over the last decade, these super teams, these truly tremendous rosters from top to bottom where I can look at it and say, I don't see really any flaws with that team. And that's what I look at as World Series contenders. And this year, I don't view any of these teams as that. So maybe for my own sensibilities, that's what I'm missing here. Have you guys felt locked in on this year's postseason?
I felt locked in, and I mean, I love offense more than pitching. I've been locked into the series that I think have a lot of offensive upside, but more so that I don't know what the outcome is going to be. And maybe that's not fair to me to not give the American League justice, but I just assumed Seattle was winning that series, and I assumed the Yankees were winning that series. And then when Toronto just beat them, it's like, okay, well, the Yankees aren't any good. I've been locked into the Brewers and Cubs and Dodgers and Phillies because to me, those were unknown series. I was in the line of thinking that you guys were where it's like, I don't know what the Brewers are. And then when they put up those numbers, it's like, oh, okay, this is a series now. Might not be moving forward. And then the Dodgers and Phillies, I know the Dodgers are supreme, but I just looked at this as like, man, Phillies could knock them off their pedestal. So I was more tied into the National League games than I was the American League. And again, it might just be my own injustice to look at it and be like, I don't see these series going any different than what my expectations are, so why should I watch?
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed it because I like the fact that I don't really know who's just going to bulldoze their way to a World Series.
Sorry, Siri didn't like that apparently.
I've enjoyed it because of that. And it's the same reason I'm really enjoying college football this season. Right? There's no dominant team to where I can look at any matchup and go, okay, that team might be able to pull it off. I even did this last weekend, right? I said, hey, I think Florida has a shot to beat Texas, and they beat Texas. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think I've enjoyed it mostly.
Good call, T-Bone. I didn't think that.
I know. Yeah, sorry. I tried to warn you, but
viewed that one differently.
But I look at every one of these series, and outside of like maybe one, I've been able to look at it and go, okay, I can see the path to where that team can win, right? Like I could see the path how the Padres would have taken down the Cubs in the wild card series. I could have seen the path to where the Cubs ended up beating the Brewers here in the DS. Same with like the Blue Jays beating the Yankees or the Red Sox beating the Yankees in the wild card round.
I guess we're saying the same things, but viewing it differently. Because the reason you can see all of those things is because those teams are flawed. The teams that are favored are also flawed, which allows for that opportunity for these upsets to take place. Whereas in previous postseasons, we would go in being like, how can anybody beat the Dodgers? They are so otherworldly talented and great, and we saw it all regular season long. This is a behemoth, or the Braves in one era, or the Phillies. Like, I don't know how teams are going to beat these squads, the Mets even at times. And this year, I don't see any of that. And so for you see that, and your reaction is, this is awesome. Look at all of these opportunities for, I have no idea what's going to happen on any given night, much less in these individual series, and certainly who's going to be there at the end. And I look at it and say, this sucks. I don't really care about any of these teams because we came through 162 and nobody really emerged. After a full 162 game season, I'm still not sure who's good. And that to me is, it's different and it's taking some adjusting. And it might be that this is the new norm.
Yeah.
Maybe this is what baseball's going to be. It's what it was prior to 2016. There was like a decade stretch there where we didn't know, starting with 2006 and the Cardinals. Nobody saw that team coming. That was a huge surprise to everybody. Remember Bob Nightingale? Wasn't he the one that wrote the column of the Tigers in 3?
Yeah.
For that series?
I think that was him, yeah.
That's not even possible.
Correct. That was the whole point. It was tongue in cheek.
That's not funny, though.
Like, that's what it was up until the Royals in 2015, and then things flipped once the Cubs won, and then we got the next era of, the dominant teams. So maybe this is the new norm, and it's going to be on me to adjust to the
Full
new realities
disclosure,
of Major League
I wasn't
Baseball.
locked into anything yesterday because hockey was back.
When the Brewers get to the World Series, BK's like, I'm not watching out of premise.
No, BK's going to still, when the Brewers are up 3-1 in the World Series, BK's like, nah, they're not a good team.
Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, next year on 101 ESPN.
Well, Classic Air Care is still there if on a day like today you're turning your air conditioner on, but maybe tomorrow you're going to want the furnace. You're going back and forth between the two. Why? Because you can. That's how you make your house comfortable. Look, if you haven't had that unit maintained, get on the horn, get them in there, and make sure that you're ready for the winter. It's not expensive. It is easily scheduled at ClassicAirCare.com, and it's the most basic thing you can do to make sure that the most expensive and important unit in your house to keep your house comfortable is ready to go. It's like making sure the tires are rotated and the oil is changed in your car. It's really that basic. The other basic thing you can do, according to Classic Air Care, just change that air filter. It's one of the most important things you can do. The cleaner the air filter, the less hard the unit has to run. Go online and book an appointment at ClassicAirCare.com. Check out their maintenance plans. You can order the air filters online as well. They take care of my house. They will take care of yours. They've got a 4.8 Google rating for a reason, because they're good and their customers love the quality of the work. It's Classic Air Care. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues will be back in action tomorrow night as they've got their home opener against the Minnesota Wild. Well, pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. And today there are 4 elimination games in the divisional series in Major League Baseball, and you will be able to hear Game 3 between the Dodgers and Phillies here on 101 ESPN. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 7:30 with first pitch at 8 o'clock as the Dodgers look to advance to the National League Championship Series. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See Milano.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by the voice of the Blues. He's Chris Kerber here on 101 ESPN, one day before the start of the 2025 St. Louis Blues season.
Let's go, Blues!
Let's go, Blues! Let's go,
man.
Blues!
Come on, man.
Why are you not?
Because it's
Curbs, how's it going, man?
It's weird, man.
What do you mean it's weird?
I don't know.
I don't think it's weird. We should be hearing that. Like, I know at Rossman School, they're doing Blues Day today, so everyone's wearing their Blues gear. Like, I'm all for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
No,
Curbs, that's what I'm talking
It
about.
was weird because T-Bone didn't break eye contact with me the whole time. So
I thought you were going to join in.
I never
wanted
got
to make
into
sure
it.
we were in
I
sync.
didn't- It wasn't pre-planned as a show.
No, that's what made it organic
Well,
and good and
organic.
interesting.
He kept staring at me, and I was uncomfortable.
Curbs, you excited?
I am very excited. Literally just left the locker room. I looked down after talking to Justin Falk for about 15 minutes and went, ooh, radio station's about to call. I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of great things that this team can do. There's a lot of forward steps that this team can do. And I'm fascinated to see whether or not they can accomplish what's ahead of them.
Curbs, earlier today at Skate, it looked like the line combinations were what you'd expect. Booch, Thomas Snuggie, and then the Holloway Shin Kyrou line has been reunited. They dropped Suter down to the third line with Joseph, and Bukestad was centering that fourth line as expected with Torpo and Walker. What did you make? I do want to ask you about kind of the big decision there, Shin and Suter flipping spots from where they were in the preseason. What is your understanding of why they decided to go about it that way?
I got to be honest with you guys, and I did not ask the question, so this is just 100% my opinion. I think this was the plan all along. I think the plan was to get Suter as much of a look as you can with those two guys, really let his skills kind of come out, see what you have there, because there's going to be plenty of times based on special teams, power play, based on timing of penalty kill, that you're going to have Suter in between those other two guys at different times. So I think that was as much about developing chemistry. But I just felt that with what you saw from those lines at the end of the year, if you're able to keep them that way, you want to stick with them because that's how you get to your identity faster. And I just talked to Justin Falk, about some of this. And, he said the key to the start to the season is how quickly do we, get the buy-in and find that stride of what we need to do to win, because that's going to be the key to a good start. Well, I think you do that by knowing that your top 6 forwards are in the exact position they were when they were having success last year. Same thing basically with your top 4D and your goaltenders. So to me, I think that's as much about identity building as it is anything, and it doesn't surprise me at all.
Kerbs, a lot of conversation throughout training camp and preseason of that third line right wing. The competition that was there looked like it could have been Bukestad. Did anybody impress you enough to say that guy should be the third line right wing for opening night?
Well, listen, I think with a healthy Oscar Sundqvist, it might have been Bukestad, right? I think that was probably the way it was going. Having said that, I think if you go on how camp was, and I'm gonna pull out an example for you guys that might predate you a little bit, but I remember as a diehard Cardinal fan, knowing that Ozzie Smith and Royce Clayton were going into, a spring training kind of neck and neck, and Tony La Russa said we're going to let spring training determine who gets it. Well, Ozzie Smith outperformed Royce Clayton by far, and La Russa still went with Royce Clayton, right? That actually created some sourness between those two for quite a while. So I look at it, I've always used that as my guide when it comes to like how camp goes, and what I mean by that is I think if you look at, there was a competition between Lucic, Texier, and Matthew Joseph. The way I looked at it is those three, as the guys competing for that spot. I think Matthew Joseph outplayed the rest of them, and I think he outplayed them pretty good. So to me, I think that if opening night roster stays the way we saw today, with Bukestad at center and then Joseph on the right wing, I think that those positions were earned. And so to me, yeah, Joseph did stand out in the race for that spot to me this camp.
Chris Kerber is the voice of the Blues. He'll be on the call tomorrow night. Blues versus the Wild. Pregame with Alex starts at 6 o'clock. That's all right here in your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Kerbs, what's your biggest question, big picture question for the 2025 St. Louis Blues?
I guess my biggest question is, can they get out to a good start? I just think the ultimate key to the season is just that. You play 11 games in the month of October. You're opening up against a divisional opponent. The Central Division is an absolute juggernaut of just meanness. To me, that sets the whole table. If the Blues turned that corner, that sets them up really well. The cloud, the weight, the angst, the frustration, the mood, all that is impacted when you're chasing it. And we've seen that over the last 3 seasons, right? To me, if this team can get into a spot, and maybe if you're chasing a team or two, that's one part, but you're not chasing the league, that's big. And so honestly, that to me is my biggest question mark, is can they take what they learned last year, and as Justin Falk said to me, play with confidence, not arrogance, and get off to a good start? That's going to set the tone for this whole season.
So, Kerbs, I've been doing my projections of what this Western Conference is going to look like, and I think 5 teams get into the Central Division, and I think Blues are going to be the ones that potentially can push for a third-place spot in the Central. Do you think there are going to be 5 teams coming out of the Central this year, or maybe is the Pacific stronger than we may think?
Well, listen, I know you guys like your betting segments and stuff like that. If you go back to when that playoff system started, I think it's all but 1 or 2 non-COVID years where in that playoff setup, 5 teams have come from the Central Division. I don't think San Jose is going to make enough of a jump. I'm curious what Anaheim's going to do with Quenneville. So that takes 2 out. and then obviously you'll have Vancouver and Calgary are the ones that are probably going to be the difference makers there. But I unless the Central Division, Alex, beats up on itself so much that it benefits the Pacific Division, I agree with you. I anticipate 5 coming out of it. Guys, I'm looking at this right now, and I don't see why the Blues aren't battling for one of the top 3 spots in the Central Division. I think Doug Armstrong has put realistic expectations that you're talking maybe knocking on the door of that 3rd spot this year, but definitely a wild card spot. I actually think that with the goaltending and stuff, that this team has the ability to be even better than that. I'm frankly just basing that off of what we saw, in 50-something games with Jim Montgomery. So I 100% expect the St. Louis Blues to be battling for a top 3 spot in the Central Division.
Curbs, we'll get you out of here on this. Who is a player on the Blues this year that in talking to people around the organization, they're maybe a little higher on than public consensus?
Wowza. That's a bit of a difficult one because I'm always around it kind of deeper than most, right? I'm going to say this. I did an interview with Doug Armstrong, hoping to get that up today on Curbside. This isn't a surprise, but to me, Robert Thomas is the engine for this team now. He's stepping into, a year or two earlier from an age standpoint than Ryan O'Reilly. But Robert Thomas was a Stanley Cup champion as a rookie. Robert Thomas learned from Ryan O'Reilly. The only 4 other players in the history of this franchise that had 2 80-plus seasons or more points in a season or more before the age of 26 were Brett Hull, Bernie Federko, Doug Gilmour, and Brendan Shanahan. I think Robert Thomas knocks on the door and has a good start to the season. If he has a good start to the season, I think he's on Team Canada's Olympic team. I think Robert Thomas, this season, if the Blues are going to do what they should do, guys, Robert Thomas is top 10 in Selke voting this year. And I have no reason, if he stays healthy, I have no reason to doubt that Robert Thomas will put up a 3rd 80-plus point season. And frankly, with a more consistent power play early on, I think he's between 90 to 100 points.
Chris Kerber is the voice of the Blues. You'll hear him tomorrow night right here on your home of the Blues 101 ESPN and, of course, on FanDuel Sports Midwest. Alex will have your pregame coverage starting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll be broadcasting live down at Enterprise as well. Be there all day long, starting with our show, continuing into the Fast Lane, then Alex, then Chris Kerber. It's all right here on your home of the Blues 101 ESPN as the Blues open up the season tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. Kerbs, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night out at the Enterprise Center. We'll talk with you again soon.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow morning at the skate. Have a great day.
See you, Kerbs. That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday here on BK and Ferrario.
Mine would be Mayu. That would be the one that I think people aren't talking enough about. I think a lot of people look at Mayu as just a bottom pair defenseman. I think you're talking about a guy that's going to look like he's ready for the top 4 a month into the season.
I'd go Pius Suter. Guy that I think is...
I'm really intrigued by him.
I think he's going under the radar in terms of what he's capable of for the Blues. I think he can score 25 goals this year. I don't know that that's where I would put the over-under, but I'd probably set the over-under at like 20 and a half, somewhere around that. I think he probably gets to 20 goals, somewhere in that range. And that's a really good season, man. Like Zach Bolduc last year, we all liked Zach Bolduc, right? We thought he was a very productive player for the St. Louis Blues on the wing. Now imagine a better defensive player playing at the center position that has the exact same production as what Zach Bolduc did a year ago.
I don't think that's outlandish to say. I think they replace Bolduc's production with just Pius Suter, and you outperform Fox's production with Radek Faksa.
And you
with
probably improve defensively from what Zach Bolduc was a year ago. And that's not me saying anything disparaging against Zach Bolduc, but Pius Suter is a plus defender on the ice.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. And plus, your power play improves, in my opinion, because now you've got multiple weapons to use on that second unit to where you're not using an Oscar Sundqvist, and then your penalty kill improves because you added 2 guys that could play the penalty kill versus you having only 1 guy that left this offseason.
We're all high on the Blues. Greg Wyshynski very much is not. We explained earlier today why he does not have them making the playoffs this year. He will explain that himself coming up in a little more than 10 minutes. The junk drawer is coming up next, though, here on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, let's dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone, what do you got for us today?
Guys, Major League Baseball playoffs mean teams are bringing new items to their menu in October.
I love these.
Let's see if you guys are interested in these, and I'll start with the Philadelphia Phillies, who you may not be able to get this anymore. They might be going home today. But
I loved this one. I've already seen it, and it's fantastic.
the Fall Classic Shake, as it is called, is with vanilla soft serve blended with dulce de leche and topped with an apple cider donut. Oh, was that wrong?
Me and Alex both looked at each other immediately. Like, do we say something or not?
So you want to try that?
You did great.
You down to try that shake? I don't know about the apple cider donut.
You know what? What shake?
I tell Katie all the time I love
Fall Classic Shake.
I tell Katie all the time I love dulce de leche. Every time
How do you actually say that? I
Is
looked
it
at
Nick
that.
Lachey?
Is it what?
98 degrees, Nick. Oh, I love Nick
Love
Lachey.
his blind host, Nick Lachey.
I don't think that's
care
it.
about
But you guys in on the shake?
Yeah, man. I think it sounds
Dulce
great.
de leche.
How do you say it?
Dolce de leche.
No.
Okay.
There'd be 2 days in there.
You got to put your pinky up when you say it.
Next, the New York Yankees, which you could get tonight if you went
By the way,
to
did you see the 999 box?
the
Yeah, I was gonna say,
999
you
box.
apparently didn't say the one BK
No,
loved.
that's not what I thought you were
Oh,
talking
no.
about at all. So the Phillies for the postseason, I'm pretty sure, it's the Phillies. They've got 9 mini hot dogs and 9 beers that you can drink. They're like small pours over the course of 9 innings. It's like, the 999 challenge,
Yeah.
the 9 inning
But
challenge.
for the
I'd be
week.
gone. I love this idea. It's $55.
That's a lot for 9 mini hot dogs.
That's not bad at all. Dude,
How
each
much?
hot dog at a game typically is like, what, $10?
Oh, yeah. It's like $10 or $11 every game.
But if it's
For
all
9 mini hot dogs, like imagine, Alex, if you went with the family, right? You're able to get 9 hot dogs.
Hook up my girls with 9
and
beers.
you and your wife are able to
Yeah.
get 4 or 5 mini beers, so probably like 1 pour each for $55. That's not bad. And you get a box out of it. It's kind of this commemorative thing.
Yeah.
Instagrammable, if you're into that kind of thing.
You got to think
It's
about
great.
the gram when you're doing these things.
I mean, let's be honest here. That's something that my wife would absolutely be interested in.
All right. What you got any more dulce
sorry,
de
Timo.
leche?
No more of that. We'll get to one coming up soon. But the Yankees have ice cream nachos, which is made with soft serve ice
disgusting.
cream, waffle chips topped with sprinkles, and chocolate and raspberry syrup.
Disgusting.
Oh, really? I think that one
That's
sounds
a
good.
mess.
Oh,
I don't
that
need to
sounds
do that.
delicious.
At a postseason baseball game when I'm locked into the game.
And when it's going to be
this is the
cold
opposite of what I
outside.
need.
Isn't that cold out right now?
Here it's not. In New York it probably is.
They're fine as it is. And then the other one was the Dodgers. I don't know if they've kept this one around. I couldn't find this or not because they were calling it wild card funnel cake. It was made with pistachio cream, chocolate, toasted katifi. I'm not really sure what that is.
I don't know how to pronounce that one, so you
Whipped
can.
cream, chocolate drizzle, and pistachios.
T-Bone's leaking confidence right now.
Yeah, T-Bone doesn't trust any word that he's looking at. I'm out on that one too. None of those sound good to me. The hot dog one was the best one out of all of these.
Yeah, I didn't even see that one.
I could pound some 9 mini hot dogs and 9 beers. That'd be great.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm out. Any type of ice cream stuff, I'm kind of out on.
Really? Yeah. Oh, I see. I love ice cream. Never a bad time of the year for ice
There's
cream.
got to be a bathroom, a private bathroom within striking distance.
I just
if I'm
don't
eating
get
ice
it
cream.
at baseball games.
I get it at whole baseball games in the middle of summer. I don't get it at baseball games in the middle of October.
If I'm going to get anything like that, it's probably more of like a Dippin' Dots.
Ice cream sandwich.
Dippin' Dots. Oh,
I love me some ice cream
Disgusting.
sandwiches too.
Yeah, now see, I would
I'm
do the
simple with
Yankee
ice cream.
nachos. That's not waffle chips.
No, that's way
ice
too messy.
cream and sprinkles.
No.
Oh,
You don't like Dippin' Dots?
no, nah, not a fan.
The ice cream of the future.
Yeah,
I used to eat Dippin' Dots at the
Not
movie
great.
theater. You know those dispensers that they have? You'd go over and it'd be like, woo, suck one out. Oh, yeah. Take those Dippin' Dots in the movie theater.
About.
You've never seen those at the movie theaters?
I've never seen a movie theater. with
Oh
Dippin'
my
Dots.
gosh, man. It was like those snack vending machines, but it was a freezer and you would pick which flavor you want and the freezer would open up and it would be one of those magnets would be like go right over it. It would go down and it would like vacuum suck up the pack and then drop it out to you.
With
Dippin' Dots, like individual
No, I've
like
never seen
bags.
that
Oh
before.
yeah, I used to get them at movie theaters all the time.
Huh. No, not familiar with that.
So good. But
I mean,
then,
I
you
would've
found, then I
definitely been
realized
interested
how
in
much money you were spending on them, and I was like, well, this is overpriced,
Yeah, that's
and
why
I
you
stopped
sneak
doing
in
it.
the stuff to the.
And then I started sneaking in
That's
large
the-
pizzas of emos, and I would bring in like buffalo wings and things like that.
What's your go-to sneak this into the
Movie theater.
movie theater?
Either
snack?
pizza or sub sandwich. Oh, snack? Oh, no, I would go food.
Alex is
This is probably, I can't say this on the air, but this was like
Alex has an Olive Garden deal.
This was like 15 years ago. So, but like my buddy would I'd buy the tickets. We'd buy 2 tickets, by the way, buy 2 tickets.
Oh, and you guys would.
And my buddy, I would go meet him at the exit and I would open it up and he'd bring in an extra large Emo's pizza.
Gosh.
Or a sub sandwich from Pescetti's Pomodoros.
See, the thing I'm sneaking in, which
From
is
watching
not
a movie,
meal,
I need food.
yeah, a snack. I would sneak in snow caps. That's my go-to. Oh, those are the best.
I mean, mine's no better. I do like the chocolate-covered raisins. That's my go-to.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
like
such a beta boy answer.
Did you forget my chocolate-covered raisins for the movie? And
Preferably dark chocolate if possible.
make
Go
sure
to Trader Joe's real quick.
I should have known that was what the answer was going to
and
be.
organic raisins, please. Otherwise, I'm not eating it.
Somebody on the text line said, Alex brings in Tupperware. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, Greg Wyshynski, ESPN's NHL analyst, will explain himself coming up next.
I may not do ice cream in ballparks, but boy, do I love my frozen custard. In the fall time, it's the perfect time to go out there to Ted Drew's and just enjoy the ambiance. Now you can get to sit outside on that park bench in the parking lot of Ted Drew's and enjoy that famous frozen custard that has been a St. Louis tradition since 1929. It's open daily on Chippewa. 4 generations of families have been running this business off of consistency and tradition. You know it's perfect at any time. It's family-owned and operated, and I love the fact that you can build those traditions. I talk about it all the time in the summer. Friday nights are our nights with our family. Ferrario nights, we call them, where we go out to eat, and then we go to Ted Drew's off of Chippewa and enjoy the famous frozen custard. They've got tons of flavors that you want, whatever you want to mix and match with. My personal favorite would be the Blue Note, now at Blue Season. It's vanilla custard with a blend of fresh blueberries, smooth lemon cream, and graham crackers, served as a concrete or a sundae. So get on out there and start those family traditions in the fall. Christmas time's coming up soon, which means you get your Christmas tree out in their parking lot. 96 years, 4 generations of families serving St. Louisans that famous frozen custard. Ted Drew's frozen custard, unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Greg Wyshynski is an ESPN NHL analyst. He put out his predictions earlier today, which means we need to call him to ask him to explain himself because he did not have the St. Louis Blues in the playoffs for 2025. Greg Wyshynski joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Greg, my buddy Alex Ferrario went up and down about how wrong you were earlier today. Are you ready to explain yourself here on the St. Louis Airways?
Yeah, I really wish we could have done this yesterday. In hindsight, but look, I think that there is an absolute jumble for the 2 wild card spots and the 3rd spot in the Central Division, and I think you've got yourself the Utah Mammoth, who I think is going to finish 3rd. I think their young core is real good, and I think as long as their defense stays healthy and they get the same goaltending they had last year, they could level up into that 3rd spot, which leaves you with Winnipeg, St. Louis, Minnesota, Vancouver, maybe someone we're not thinking of, like an Anaheim if they jump up, all competing for like 2 spots. And it's not that I think it's going to be a disaster. It's not that I think that they couldn't jump up and finish 2nd in the division if everything trends the right way. But I do think they might miss just by a few points. Reason being simply that Jim Montgomery's teams are as stout defensively as you're going to find, but have always been a bit offensively challenged. And, when you look at where the Blues were in expected goals at 5-on-5 last year, it didn't blow you away offensively. There's some things that could trend higher for that, especially if Jimmy Snuggerud can make a huge impact in his first season. But overall, these have always been the challenges with the teams, and I think they might just fall just short of a playoff spot this year.
Well, first off, Greg, I appreciate you not hating on Jordan Binnington anymore for the reason that they're going to miss the playoffs. That's the part that I loved about this one. But, when I agree with the sense, like, it is a jumbled mess in the middle of, like, 3 through 6 in that Central Division and really the Western Conference. The part that I was curious about, that offense, like, do you not see the upside maybe of what Holloway did last year, of what Snuggerud could be, depending on if he can carry over what he did? Or is the reasoning behind it is you just saw the ifs for the offense and said, this is probably why I'm not willing to go into it as deep?
No, I think that's fair. I mean, from my perspective, I see what the offense was last year, and then, what we're looking for is Holloway to continue trending up, which could happen, or he could regress. And then we're hoping that a rookie can come in and make a huge impact, which could happen, or he could, have some growing pains. So I'm not dismissing the fact that I could be wrong here. I could be very wrong here. It's a deep lineup with a great coach and a goalie who you mentioned I'm no longer able to slander as an American hockey fan because of what he did in 4 Nations. But the way I see it playing out is I'm very high on Utah, higher than most. I'm probably a bit lower on Winnipeg than many will be. I just think that the loss of Ehlers off their top line and off their power play is going to be something that they haven't necessarily filled as far as that hole goes. And then Minnesota just seems like a team that's in that purgatory between, the next wave of young guys being ready to really power them into being a cup contender and what's actually on the roster, especially offensively. So again, it's entirely possible that this team could have a lot of upward mobility in the standings. That's another thing Jim Montgomery tends to do is to get his team, in a pretty lofty position in the division. But the way I see it break down and the question marks that surround their offense, I just had to put them just slightly out of the playoff picture.
No, we understand, Greg. You value expected goals per 60 more than actual goals per 60, right? That's the way this works?
There was tone there.
I can't. It's something that I get in trouble for here, Greg, because sometimes I'll talk about how the Blues offense is outperforming expectations, Greg, and people get mad.
BK's a nerd, and I'm a realist.
I mean, one tends to lead to the other, and sometimes if one does not lead to the other, then the fun part is why hasn't it? And even last season, I mean, to Bennington's credit, their expected goals against was higher than what their actual goals against were at 5-on-5, and that's when you start to applaud the goaltenders' efforts. So, it could swing the other way too, where they're actually outkicking their coverage on some of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, analytically, they didn't blow me away last year, and like you mentioned, there are reasons to believe that they could be better than that this year, and if that happens, then I'm wrong.
In all seriousness, Greg, if the Blues are better than you're predicting, what do you think will be the explanation as to why? What would you project as to why you were, quote-unquote, wrong on their projection this year?
I mean, that's easy. I mean, it's the offensive depth on this team being better than expected. It's maybe them getting a bit more offense out of their blue line than I expect, and it's probably in the shortest form, Jimmy Snuggerud being a Calder finalist. I mean, I love the kid. I think he's a great player, and I think that he's one of these rookies that you look at the start of the season, like Davidoff with the Acadians, like Bouillon with the Wild, like Nikishin if they play him, a little bit, if they give him the ice time in Carolina, that could have immediate results and an immediate impact on where these teams finish in the standings. So, if he pops off, this could easily be a much better offensive team than I'm giving him credit for.
Greg, I want to ask you about the defense because we have you on all the time. You're one of our favorites on this show. In the last few years, we've had so many conversations about the terrible spot the Blues are in on the defensive side of things, the contracts that you look at and you're like, how are they going to get out of these? What do you make of the change that Doug Armstrong has done with this defensive unit, and where do you see them now versus where they were a couple of years ago?
First off, it's nice to hear that I was one of your favorites until today. I appreciate that.
You're always one of our favorites. You're just content gold.
Alex said during the break he likes having you on, and it's really frustrating that you always pick against the Blues.
It's so funny, too, because people hear us talk about you, Greg, and like, oh, that guy. And I'm like, look, Wyshynski's one of my favorite. When you did the Puck Daddy blog, I'm like, you would come in and just do hours of radio talk with us. I'm like, I love the dude. It's just fun to take his takes and run with them.
Of course. Well, it makes life interesting.
That's right, it does.
I think Doug's done a really good job. I mean, like, if you look around the league, sometimes someone's bad luck is your good luck. I think that happened when you look at the Washington Capitals resurgence. That probably doesn't happen if Nick Backstrom and TJ Oshie both don't play any more games in the NHL. And in the case of the Blues, finding a way around the Torrey Krug situation, I think was beneficial to refashioning their blue line. As sad as it is what's happened to the guy. The Broberg signing obviously was great. And the Fowler trade was great. So he deserves full marks for taking what, like, as we talked about in the past, was a real Achilles heel for this lineup and turning it around and making it maybe one of the strongest parts of the team.
All right, Greg Wyshynski is joining us here for another couple of minutes on 101 ESPN. Greg, the last couple of seasons, the Nashville Predators have not exactly lived up to expectations. So my question to you, who is your prediction for this year as the team that will underperform relative to what the public consensus is this year?
I think there's two. I mean, one is kind of a cheat because they didn't look good last night. But, I mean, the Kings could be a team in the West that might slip out. I think that they're still good enough to make the playoffs. I have them third, but they're one I'm kind of like side-eyeing as I don't really like the coach. I don't necessarily love the mix right now. They seem like a team that's missed their contention window thanks mostly to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl beating him in the first round every season. That's probably one in the West. And then in the East, Montreal was just like the Ottawa Senators, a team that seemed to have emerged from that group of bottom feeders in the Atlantic Division to maybe have some ascendancy. But, much like the Blues offense I'm dogging, like I'll dog the Montreal team defense all day. Like they got bailed out by their goalie, Sam Montembeault, last year in a pretty significant way. And I don't think that they've done much outside of maybe some guys maturing to really address the team defense being as porous as it was. So I'd be surprised if they're a playoff team again, and I'd be surprised if they didn't take at least a little step back this year.
Greg, we talk all the time here in St. Louis about how critical those first couple of months of the season are, and it sounds cliche to say, but for how jam-packed this Western Conference might be, do you feel like the team that starts out of the gate slow might be missing out on the playoffs this year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a quick start's essential. I mean, you guys know I'm a Devils fan, and if they don't post all the points they posted when Jack Hughes was healthy last year, they don't make the playoffs because they fell apart after he got hurt. And so, banking points early. Look at Winnipeg last year as another example. They came out of the gate at a record pace and then didn't really have to worry about much for the rest of the season as far as like teams nipping at their heels. So a quick start's essential for your success. And the opposite is true as well, where and I think this probably is sort of the what's been on the Buffalo Sabres gravestone for the better part of a decade, is like if the wheels fall off in November and you're not in a playoff position or even close to one, then you're probably not going to be in a playoff position come April either.
Final question that I've got for you, Greg. How is Dylan Holloway viewed nationally right now? Because I know how he's viewed here locally. We talk about him all the time. How is he viewed nationally?
Remember how Connor McDavid just took like less money in order for the Edmonton Oilers to build a successful team around him? Holloway's one of the guys that should be there.
I thought you were about to compare Holloway to
I was too.
Connor McDavid,
Damn,
and I was
Greg.
like,
I'm just
okay,
saying,
yeah, I'm here for it. I'm listening.
It was just such a whiff to not see what that guy could bring based on his north-south game, his speed, his youth. I mean, I understand the frugality in not trying to have, another general manager set the price for your guy through an offer sheet, but like even more than Broberg, that's the guy that I would have hung on to. I think you could have seen him on McDavid's wing for the next 7 years or how long Connor's going to stay there. And so I think the view of the league is that the Oilers really whiffed on letting a good young talented player like that go, and the results that we saw last year, while maybe a bit higher than people thought they'd be, I think we're in line with what a lot of us thought he could accomplish if given the ice time and the opportunity.
You know what's insane about that, Greg? Us in St. Louis were actually legitimately pissed. We thought Broberg was going to get matched and Holloway was going to be the only piece the Blues got.
We were disappointed.
We were like, you got to be kidding me. We're not even going to get the defenseman, and then turns out you actually get a potential star in the forward.
Look, man, like Doug's good at a lot of stuff, and one of them is kind of identifying that mid-tier forward who could kind of like rise up and make an impact. I think about Buchnevich and where he was with the Rangers before they went out and got him. Like he's got a real eye for that type of player, and I think Holloway is just another example.
He's also apparently really good at identifying defensemen. Like, even the guys that we thought were whiffs, Jake Wallman's now getting $7 million a year. Nico Mikkola just got a long-term extension.
Vince Dunn in Seattle.
Had a big moment as well. He's pretty good at this, it turns out.
Just not the free agency side of things.
Yeah, well, everybody's got
or getting mad at guys because they want a no move clause. Like that was a problem, too.
We don't like to live in that past, Greg.
We can pretend that never happened. Hey, Greg, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy yourself as we get into the start of this season. We'll talk with you again soon. Hopefully, as we can talk about how horrible your prediction was on the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, they're all on the site now. You could read them. I have Colorado winning the Cup, which also isn't going to make anybody happy listening either.
Yeah, that's all right.
0 for 2 right now, Greg, but you're still one of our favorites, buddy.
Take care.
Appreciate you. It's Greg Wyshynski. Appreciate his time as always here on 101 ESPN.
Don't do that to the man. I do genuinely love that guy.
He's amazing. He's fantastic.
He's so much
he stands by his work, and ultimately that's what this is all about. I do find it to be really interesting, man. I like getting differing perspectives on the Blues to find out, all right, where are our blind spots? What are we missing that others are seeing? And is there something more here than meets the eye? And I think that's really, after hearing him and like being able to understand a little bit more than just the short blurb that's a part of his piece, it's the offense.
Yeah.
It's the offense and whether or not you actually buy into what they're going to be this year.
And what's fascinating, so tomorrow we're going to have Ryan Clark on, who also is an insider for ESPN. He had the Blues finishing 3rd in the Central Division with his projection. So I do agree. I think the differing opinions are there. But you heard, Wyshynski, like you can read the piece, but it's all about if guys don't perform and continue their growth. If Holloway has a setback or if Snuggerud has a step back, well, then, yeah, you're not going to be that good of a team because your offense takes a massive blow. It's just we who saw it for every single game with those players think that it's going to continue to progress forward. And with what they've done with Kyrou and Thomas and Shen and what they are potentially going to have, that's where our optimism is versus a Utah team where we don't watch as much.
A little bit of news to pass along, a couple of things. One of these earlier today, the Winnipeg Jets have agreed to an extension with Kyle Connor, 8 years, $96 million. I think this is a great deal for them.
Oh, my God, yeah.
$12 million
you kept the guy in Winnipeg.
He's a really good player. Smart deal by them.
Yep.
The more pressing news here locally.
I was just going to say, I think Holloway's going to be somewhere between 9 and 11 mil. I think that's the framework you're working with if he has a great year.
Feels right to me. The Blues have signed a goalie, Alex.
Dude, no, I'll let you say it first, and then I'll tell you my thought process when I saw it.
Are you just asking me to pronounce his name?
Yes,
Is that what you want me to say?
Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Georgi Romanov?
There you go, man.
Crushed
I think
it.
it's Romanov, but
damn, I was right there.
Not Romanov, like the Avengers.
Either way, they signed him. Two-way deal, 1-year contract. We knew they were going to bring somebody else in. He's had a lot of AHL experience, briefly in the NHL with the San Jose Sharks. Last year had an .877 save percentage in 8 games for the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, I'll give you my thought because when I saw this tweet, I saw just a goalie with a Russian name in a Sharks jersey.
Sure.
I thought that this was that bum Alexander Georgiev. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to say this. I say bum because the last 2 seasons he's had an 874 and an 875 save percentage. And I'm like, no freaking way. He was waived by Buffalo, which is why I panicked a little bit. They didn't go that way. The interesting part I find with this decision is that, from what I understand, Doug Armstrong basically told David Alexander and his team to find the goalie. This wasn't Doug Armstrong making the decision. I think from what I was told, this was their goalie coach, who David Alexander has been incredible in terms of working with these guys. He wanted them to go out there and find a guy that could come in and either fight for a number 3 spot in the AHL or just be a backup in the AHL with potential upside. And they found a guy who's 25 years old, who's 6'5", by the way, a big goaltender, and also has experience playing over in the KHL and the AHL. So I like the move. I'll be interested to see what it looks like for Springfield.
Probably going to be the next NHL superstar. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely in a game that we like to call more likely to happen here on BK and Ferrario. How old is the person
that voice
says
is
their
back.
knees are barking?
My
50.
my dogs are barking
63.
too. Got bunions. You got
60
bunions?
plus.
You ever have bunions?
Never have had a bunion.
Man, let me tell you, bunions are a. Bleh.
I do have, so when I run,
Nobody cares, man.
the top of my toe,
The top of your toe.
one of my toes,
How do
it
you
gets
run?
blisters.
It gets
From
what?
The top of your toe gets blisters?
When I run because it rubs against your shoes. It happens, man. And that has not been fun to deal with over the last few days. So if you're
think you just
curious,
made that
I'm
up.
powering through here for you today,
Nobody
buddy.
cares about the blister on your toenail
All right.
that you got.
314-399-9646.
My shoes and my toes are rubbing against them.
That's the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen.
Nipples are bleeding.
Mine are chapped in a really bad way right now.
I don't understand how that happens. That's the part that I don't. When people say that, I'm like, what are you doing? That
Your nipples rub against your shirt when you're running.
Why are you wearing such a tight shirt?
You're not, but as your shirt goes,
It shuffles back and forth while you run.
yeah.
It's a thing.
And over the course of,
No,
like
it's
2
not, man.
hours.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I only ran for 30 minutes
Well,
on
yeah,
the
you're not
treadmill
gonna
the
feel it
other
on
day.
30 minutes.
But I didn't
2
really feel like
hours.
my shirt was waving
Run
back and
faster and further, and you'll see what it
Okay,
looks
well, you don't
like.
need to call me fat,
Mine
man.
they're not bleeding, but they have like scabs on them currently.
It's weird, man.
Yeah,
Get
it's
a
a-
bigger
it's a
shirt, then,
strange
or maybe wear a
phenomenon.
tighter shirt so that doesn't rub against them.
All right, let's get into more likely to happen.
thought
You
this
guys
was
give
a-
us 2 scenarios. We'll
can't
tell
believe we
you
were
which
just
one
talking about
is
this.
More likely to happen.
likely.
BK's nipples bleed or his blister bursts on his toe.
Here on 101 ESPN, more likely to advance to the next round of the postseason. Both of these teams are currently down 2-1. The New York Yankees or the Detroit Tigers?
Yankees.
I'm going to say the Yankees. I think the Mariners have a significantly better pitching staff to not allow Detroit to come back.
I don't think the Tigers have the offense that's necessary. They've got the pitching, I think, because they've done a decent job outside of yesterday to slow down the Mariners. I just don't know they got the offense to get past that great pitching. The Yankees got the offense. It's just a matter of is their pitching going to hold up, and maybe.
I'd go Yankees. I think they have the offense to be able to do it. Schlitter on the mound today gets them back into it, forces a potential Game 5. I think the Yankees are more likely to advance. Alex?
Guys, more likely to happen. Broberg and Logan Mailloux combined for 60 points this season, or Holloway and Thomas both score 90.
90 is a really high threshold to clear, so I'll go with the defenseman.
I don't know. Did you hear that? You may not have heard that when we did that on the show where I said that the Blues could get 3 defensemen with 40 or more points this year.
That feels
think
like
that-
a lot.
So that's what T-Bone thought, and then I kind of swayed him my direction. I think Fowler and Parayko are 40 points easy, and then the question is, can Broberg get to it?
I'm going to look this up while T-Bone answers
I've already
this
looked
to
it up.
find out.
I already looked it up. The last time a team did that, 2 years ago, I forget which team it was. I forget which team it was, but it was 2 years ago it did it. The Blues have never done it in franchise history.
One at the Oilers.
That might have been what it was. It was the Oilers.
I forgot what the more likely to happen.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I hijacked that one.
Oh, their defense.
Yeah.
Do they get
60 points from Broberg and Mailloux, or Holloway and Thomas 90-plus points.
I would lean Holloway, Thomas, 90-plus points. I don't know that either would happen because I don't know if Mayu is going to get the points to get them to that mark.
Teams to do this in the last decade. 3 defensemen with 40 or more points. Edmonton did it 2 years ago. They had 3 of them, Tyson Barrie, Evan Bouchard, and Darnell Nurse. Nashville did it with Ekholm, Ellis, and Yossi. And then Calgary did it in back-to-back seasons with Brody, Giordano, and Hamilton/Weidman.
Yeah.
Those 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rare feat, but I think when teams do it, you just have that depth in terms of guys that create offense. And I mean, like, Fowler was on pace for it if he would have played the full season with the Blues. Parayko did it, and Broberg doesn't get injured. He's putting up 40 points because he was on that pace as well. So, again, crazy one. I'm going Thomas and Holloway, though. I think both of those guys can put up 90 points.
Guys, more likely to happen, the St. Louis Blues have a top 10 power play unit this year or a top 10 penalty kill?
Top 10 penalty kill. I don't know about the power play, to be honest with you. I still think they suffer from the same problems. I still think they're too predictable. Now, if they get multiple one-time shots on one of those units, then I think that's where it really opens up. I think their penalty kill could be top 10, top 5 maybe, because, man, you've got options now. You've got 5 defensemen that I feel comfortable playing the penalty kill. You've got Thomas, Buchnevich, on top of Neighbors, Toropchenko, Walker, now with Pius Suter and Nick Bukestad. Like, you've got a lot of guys that can play that position, and your goaltending is really good.
I think Alex explained it well. I'd go PK.
Sorry, man. I like hijacked that whole thing.
No, you're fine. I agree with you.
I think I would as well. I see the path for the top 10 power play, though. And it really just comes down to me, that top unit. At some point, I think you get Holloway up on that top unit. Now you've got the true one-time shots in Holloway and Snuggerud. When they get to that, my fear, though, they're not going to get that quick enough. They'll stick with what they've done so far. They'll be top 15, not top 10. I agree. It'd probably be the PK.
Yeah, well, and I also don't like it. And this is, I mean, Jim Montgomery knows more than I do, but he likes that 1 minute for each unit. And I mean, as much as I understand it, it's just like you can't really get into the rhythm, and you got to hope you can set up fast enough.
All right, from the 314, we'll get to some of these from the text line now. More likely to happen, breaking up the team this offseason, the Mets or the Padres? I think the Padres are more likely to break up their team this offseason because they couldn't hit this year. And they need some serious changes offensively. Also, they're more financially motivated to do so because of their ownership group, and their general manager is completely unafraid to make unpopular moves because he believes in them. So I'd say the Padres.
I don't know if they can, though, because they got a lot of no trades on that team.
Yeah, that's true.
Tatis, Machado, Darvish, Bogarts, all no trade. Matsui as well, which I don't think they would be moving that anyway. Like, you're moving on from Arise, you're moving on from Cease and Suarez. But, I mean, I haven't looked at the Mets, and I don't know how many no trades they have, but honestly, I don't know if they want to move on from any of them. So I think I'll agree with you on the Padres because their GM is a little bit more motivated, and I don't know how much money you're going to have to spend in free agency, so you're going to have to make trades.
Yeah, I would lean Padres as well, even though it is harder because of the no trade clauses. I also think they're going to be more cash strapped. You know, their ownership now is trying to pull in the reins a little bit. I could see where they end up having to make moves just to become cash neutral, kind of like what they did this past offseason.
Would you trade for Tatis Jr. if they made him available?
Nah, he's like Trey Turner.
No, he's not actually.
So nobody would want him.
I was going to say he's 87 years younger.
Nobody would want him.
I'll take Tatis Jr.
Yeah, I would take him in a
I'll trade him Nolan Arenado. They need that.
I would ask for whatever. Yes, I
for
would.
Whatever?
100%.
JJ Weatherholt and Liam Doyle.
I'm stupid and would probably do it.
I think I would too, actually. I'll take the 25-year-old star.
He's 26 years old. He consistently hits 25-plus home runs. He's going to steal 30 bases for you every year, be 25% above league average, and I figure it out around him.
Yeah, and he brings that swag.
Block. Yeah, and he's a star that you can sell to the fan base.
Yep.
That's the guy that brings people to the ballpark.
So he's
every year, he's written in pen as an all-star.
Yep.
So, yes, I would absolutely trade for him, and I would probably do basically like stupid things to make it happen.
I agree.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. More likely, Neighbors gets to 50 points or Kyrou gets to 40 goals? I think Neighbors to 50 points.
Didn't he have 50 points last year?
2 years ago. He underperformed last year.
Points-wise. He ended up with like 21 goals, but I think he was like 45
I actually would go Kyrou, the 40 goals. I think Holloway opens up more opportunities for Kyrou, especially if they're on a power play unit together. I may not like it, but I think it might open up more power play goals for Kyrou. I'll say Kyrou 40 goals. I think Neighbors could still get to 50 points.
Yeah, I would go Kyrou as well because I think Neighbors going to be spending a lot of time on that third line, and I think that third line is going to be a big question mark for most of the season because they don't even know really who their winger is going to be alongside Neighbors.
More likely, Mizzou wins all the rest of their games or loses all the rest of their games?
Wins all the rest of their games.
I don't see any scenario in which they lose to Arkansas, but their schedule remaining is really, really difficult. I mean, Bama, Vandy, Texas A&M, Oklahoma are all ranked in the top 20 right now. At Auburn is a sneaky, really difficult game and could be ranked in the top 25 by the time that they play. So it's more likely they win all the remainder of their games because I just don't see any scenario where they lose all of them, but they could lose like 4 of these, and it should not surprise anyone.
It would surprise me if they lost every single game the rest of the way. It would surprise me, but not as much if they won every game.
See, I would say more likely they lose every one of those games because it would surprise me if they won all of those games. Because I agree, sure, I look at Arkansas and say I don't know that I see a path where they lose that game, but I don't see a path where they win every single one of these games that's left on their schedule. So I would lean the other way on that.
Coming up next, Chaim Bloom had some interesting comments on what the Brewers have done well and how the Cardinals can emulate them without actually going all in on a specific model, so to speak. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care who are telling people as the fall approaches that you need to get your furnace taken care of. The annual maintenance program, it's the best way to avoid any breakdowns, and using Classic Air Care, a company that has been making people comfortable since 1926, is the best way to approach this. I've talked about their customer service, the knowledge of the technicians. I've told you about the filter program that they have for the furnaces that reminds you every month to change your filter. It comes straight to your door. But also check out the thousands of reviews that they have over on Google Plus, a 5-star rating for their business, like this one from Charles. The professionalism of this company, as well as our service technician Greg, was more than just a 5-star rating. He took the time, explained everything that he did, and now my unit is running in tip-top shape. 100 vans are out on the road, which means they'll get back to you within 24 hours. They also do electrical work and plumbing. Classic Air Care, the company that is there to take care of you and your family. Call them today or schedule online. Just tell them Alex Ferrario sent you at Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
Taylor Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Soliga Heating and Cooling. Blues will be back in action tomorrow night as they have their home opener against the Minnesota Wild. We'll have pregame coverage starting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. And today, 4 elimination games in the divisional round in Major League Baseball, and you'll be able to hear Game 3 between the Dodgers and Phillies tonight. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 7:30 with first pitch at 8 o'clock as the Dodgers look to sweep the Phillies in advance to the NLCS. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Soliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. As I mentioned earlier, Alex, Chaim Bloom was on with the Gas House Gang yesterday, and he was talking about a number of different things. It's worth your time, but he was specifically asked about the model that the Cardinals are trying to accomplish and compared it to what the Brewers have done up in Milwaukee. Here's what he had to say.
You know, there are people there that I have worked with, or people that have come out of that organization that I've worked with since they were in that organization. Matt and I were together with the Rays for a number of years. A lot of respect for a lot of people there. There's some things that I know they've done, systematizing development in some of the ways that I've talked about that they were on earlier, really able to build replicable processes, especially in their pitching development. They've done some amazing things in the international market. They do a lot of things up and down their organization where they are just winning on the margins everywhere. And, you know, sometimes when you say that, people say, okay, great, winning on the margins is good, but what about the big stuff? Well, I don't think it has to be an either or. And we should try to dominate every area that we can. And those little things add up, just like little things add up over the course of 162 games. It's no different. Like, so much of what seems like revolutionary steps in this game are really just the result of just getting after it day after day and moving the ball every day, finding little things to get better at. And they've done an amazing job of that. You know, I hope obviously we can take some things from them, as we should from all of our competition, but also that we find the best way to do it here. And it's been a big part of how I've wanted to set this up. Look, we have amazing people in this organization. I wasn't surprised to find that, because I know the success that the organization has had and the respect that the organization carries in the industry. My hope is that by bringing in some new perspectives, you know, fresh voices, and if there are people that have the right values, that everybody comes together, collaborates to build something that's better than what any of us has experienced individually.
Okay, so I found what he said especially about the Brewers to be interesting there, about winning on the margins, Alex. Because if I ask somebody, hey, what do you think it is that makes the Brewers what they are? Like, the number one thing, if you could just pinpoint a factor, one of the things that they do well, what is it that makes the Brewers work? T-Bone, what would your answer be to that? What is it that makes the Brewers work? What are they doing better than other teams?
Mine would be the pitching pipeline, that they're able to develop pitching.
Alex, what would your answer be?
Mine would be the development of internal talent.
And I think you could say the trades. I think you could say they win trades.
Yeah.
They won the Christian Yelich trade. They won the William Contreras trade. They were like the third team involved in that, and they got the best player.
They won the Josh Hader trade, too.
All of these, they're really good at getting talent. You've mentioned a number of times the Quinn Priester trade. They win that trade, right? They go out, identify something. They won the Willie Adames trade. They go out, they identified something that Andrew they needed. Vaughn. All of these, they're stacking wins in the trade market. But we can all bring up different things. You brought up pitching. You brought up individual talent that they're bringing in on the position player side of things. I talked about the trades. Drafting. Bryce Terang, really good player. You look at what they did via amateur free agency in the international market. They bring in Jackson Chourio. They're just doing really well. They're just a well-run organization, and that's all winning on the margins. So when he says that, I think it's a really smart thing to try to emulate. And there's not like one thing that he's saying, we're going to do this that the Brewers are doing. But he's right. You got to do all of these things really well. And when you stack those wins, like in the decision-making processes, you're stacking those wins upon each other. Eventually, the result is what you're seeing with the Brewers right now. So that is something that is worthwhile. And I'm glad Chaim mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I was going to add into this is they're always willing to make the trades, too. Not just that they win the trades. Like, go back to when they traded for CC Sabathia, when that was like, what, mid-2010s? And it's like they were aggressive. Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich wasn't available, but then they were aggressive enough to get Christian Yelich.
They're also patient. So, like, it's a patience, wait, now.
Yeah.
Wait, now. And when they see an opportunity, they capitalize on it. The William Contreras thing was them just getting involved in a trade that other teams were trying to make. They were the third party that was willing to take on William Contreras. The Christian Yelich thing, remember the Cardinals? They were the team that was overly aggressive there. They tried to get Stanton. He said no, so they pivoted to the only other outfielder at the time that was available, which was Marcell Ozuna. According to reporting that's come out since, the Cardinals wanted Yelich. He was not available at the time. The Cardinals were desperate for a middle-of-the-order hitter, so they said, we'll take Ozuna. Then when Ozuna was dealt, Yelich asked out. That's when he became available, and that's when the Brewers decided to pounce.
And the other thing, too, with the Brewers is they're never chasing down the top free agents. They're never going after the big dog that's out there that you got to pay $400 or $500 million to. They're the ones that have success at finding in that next market. And we criticize the Cardinals so much for shopping in that tier of the market. They should get the criticism because they don't know how to evaluate the right guys in that market, and they don't know how to amplify the best attributes of those players. So, yeah, clicking on all cylinders or hitting all of these marks, they're good at everything. And that's why they've been first or second place with the exception of the COVID year every single year since 2017.
And I think T-Bone's right. Like, the thing that I don't want to put under the radar, they're also great at developing pitching. And they don't just develop guys. Like, they don't develop, and this is not to be a shot at, like, they don't develop Andre Palantes or Michael McGreevy's exclusively. Dude, they're producing Brandon Woodruff and
Mizorowski.
Freddie Peralta and Mizorowski and Corbin Burns. Like, they're producing dudes that can start a game 1 or a game 2 of a postseason series, and it's not them looking out of place. They match up against all of the other 1s and 2s across the league, and it makes sense for them to be out there.
Yeah, and you have to be good at all of these because as we've talked about, like with the Cardinals in the past, they, and they've basically admitted this by what they've talked about their minor league system, they acted like they couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time. And that's what the Brewers are doing, right? They're involved in all of this. They're waiting on trades. They're also willing to be aggressive on trades when it is required, right? I don't know if the 23 Cardinal season could have been saved. But we were screaming in April, late April, hey, Mo, you've got to make a move. This rotation's not going to hold up. And what did the Cardinals do? They sat on their hands and watched the season just sink down to last place in the National League Central. What did the Brewers give up to get Quinn Priester? Some guy that I've never heard of. And also a comp A pick in this year's draft that was 33rd overall
big
for
time
Priester.
asset.
I mean, that is a huge asset to move on for that kind of a pitch-to-contact guy, but they're able to evaluate, hey, we think we can work with Priester. We think we can fix this with his stuff. This is a guy that had like a 9 ERA in his previous 2 stops in Major League Baseball.
Also, if we don't get this guy, we don't know what we do with the spot.
Exactly.
We need it, and so let's go do it now.
And that's what I love about what they're able to do. They are willing to show aggressiveness. They're willing to wait in the offseason on things to kind of develop. And they also are a team that is able to walk and chew gum at the same time and worry about their pitching pipeline while also going into international free agency, identifying these late-round gems that they're selecting in these drafts. And even like the trade where they acquired Durbin in the trade this offseason where they gave up Devin Williams. We looked at that trade at the time and said, oh, this is why the Cardinals should hold on to their guy. They said, look, Nestor Cortez isn't the main piece. He's going to come and help our rotation because we need an arm. We also think this Durbin kid can play, and they were spot on in their evaluation of Durbin.
It was the Randy A thing, right? Randy A was the second piece to that trade. At the time, it was Jose Martinez. That was the headliner in the deal that, hey, the Rays want Jose Martinez. They also targeted Randy Arozarena, don't get me wrong, but the Cardinals really wanted Libby, and that was what they wanted in return. They needed for their big league roster at the time, hey, Jose Martinez is going to come help us. Randy A eventually will be the guy. Durbin was the Randy A in this comparison. All right, he's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. The Rewind is next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
The 101 ESPN app, super easy to use. It is free to download, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. You can also check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN STL, and you can get involved in each and every one of our shows on the text line at 314-399-9646. Tomorrow, we are going to be broadcasting live from Enterprise Center, where we will be watching morning skate out there. We'll be joined by Joey Vitale. We are also planning to be joined by another ESPN NHL analyst, possibly others as well throughout the show. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Plenty of Blues coverage from 11 to 2. The Fast Lane will then be broadcasting live at Enterprise Center from 2 to 6. Alex has pregame starting at 6. Puck drop at 7 for your home opener between the Blues and the Minnesota Wild.
We're everywhere, baby.
You guys also have a Last Minute Blues podcast, which is being released today?
Dropped. It's going to drop later on today over on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. 45 minutes of good conversation and good fun, T-Bone.
Absolutely love to see it. We're going to finish out the show with a report that just came out. This comes from 24/7 Sports. According to Andrew Jones, who works for their North Carolina site, quote, potential exit strategy discussions, end quote, occurred earlier this morning at North Carolina. And while it doesn't mean that Bill Belichick will certainly be fired, quote, preliminary conversations about the possibility have indeed occurred.
Oh.
The goal reportedly would be to eliminate or minimize Bill Belichick's buyouts. This fast-rolling snowball, according to this report, seems to be related to accounts of potential rules violations.
Oh, Bill.
This week's... There have been reports that have emerged that an assistant coach was suspended for providing extra benefits to players and families. There has also been a report that many other violations have occurred, including on the recruiting front. This reporter for 24/7 Sports adds at the end of his piece, quote, his opinion on the matter is, quote, I don't think it's a lock that Bill Belichick will coach the Cal game. It is worth noting the Cal game is 9 days away. North Carolina is currently in its bye week.
Bill can't even cheat properly at the college level, which is wild because he knows how to cheat. He did it multiple times in the NFL.
Bill Belichick is as much of a disaster at the college level as Urban Meyer was, rather, on the NFL level.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
That's what's happening here.
The downfall is different, but oh boy, is it ugly.
Yeah, and it's, for a lot of people, they predicted it the same way for both. Like, people that really were around Urban Meyer at the collegiate level said this is not going to work in the NFL. He is all about dragging players through the mud and breaking them down before then eventually building them back up. Can't do that with NFL players, dude. They're paid more than you. Like, these guys are more important figures than you. And for Bill Belichick, it was, hey man, is this stuff that he's doing with the professional level going to work? Is he going to be able to, I don't mean to say it the way that I'm going to, but it's the truth. Like, is he going to be able to dumb this down, quote unquote, enough for college players to understand the intricacies of his system? Can these guys learn it quickly enough? Can they understand it? They're 18 years old, many of them. Can he recruit at the level that's necessary? And the answer so far has been a resounding no. And now apparently he's a cheater at the college level as well.
Well, that one we probably should have.
Cheater always.
You always knew that, but that's the worst part, man. It's like, you can't even cheat at the NFL or the college level.
And like, BK brought this up in the commercial break. How do you cheat in the modern college game?
I don't know.
Well,
because like you can already pay players, right? Like, it is recruiting violation, but that's like small stuff. But apparently not. I think North Carolina's. This feels like one of those where North Carolina's like
finding something.
Yeah, wanted to really think about this idea of moving on from him. They're going to use this as the reason to do it.
They allegedly? Are they planning evidence, being like, hey, we're going to make this look like Bill? Let's get him out of here and have a reason why.
It's going to be interesting to follow. If they're going to make a move, it's got to happen at some point very soon, because they play next Friday night against Cal.
If this comes out, you either have to make it now or you're going to stick with your guy. Yeah.
And this is their last bye, by the way. They don't have another bye. They've burned their 2 byes. So it's either now or never. And can we just be honest? This is the latest reminder from college football teams. Don't go to win the press conference. Go to win football games. And North Carolina's kind of fallen victim to this the last 2 times in their hires.
Not great. All right, we'll follow that tomorrow. We will certainly be paying attention to everything that's happening with the Blues as well. Broadcasting live from Enterprise Center. TMA, by the way, will be live next Wednesday morning from the Rawlings Experience out at Westport Plaza. Rawlings, the #1 baseball brand worldwide, will be revealing this year's Gold Glove Award finalist at this exclusive event. That is next Wednesday morning. TMA live from the Rawlings Experience in Westport Plaza for the Gold Glove Award finalist announcement. More details at 101ESPN.com. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you tomorrow. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.